They say ancient Egypt was built by hand, but some clues suggest something far more advanced. Beneath the sands lie clues of sound, light, and power, woven into temples, crystals, and forgotten machines. Copper that drills stone, rods that hum with energy, tiles that react to touch and resonance. Were these symbols of faith, or remnants of a lost science, a knowledge so advanced it reshaped stone and echoed through time? This isn't just archaeology, it's a message carved in energy, waiting to be understood. The copper drill bits of the ancients. They say copper was the first metal humanity ever mastered, but what if that same humble metal hides one of the greatest enigmas in ancient engineering? In the blazing sands of Egypt, deep inside the quarries of Aswan and the tombs of Saqqara, archaeologists have uncovered fragments of what appear to be ancient copper drill bits, spiraled, hollow, and worn smooth, as if they once bored through some of the hardest stone on Earth: granite, diorite, basalt, rocks so dense, even modern diamond-tipped drills struggle to cut them cleanly. Yet more than 4,000 years ago, someone or something managed to carve them with surgical precision. Look closely at the unfinished obelisk in Aswan, that colossal slab of granite cracked but still attached to the bedrock. Its walls bear deep, smooth grooves, not chiseled, not hammered, drilled. Spiral marks wind through the stone like the threads of a screw, perfectly circular, equidistant, as though machined by an industrial tool. But the timeline doesn't add up. We're told the Egyptians used copper and sand, that they poured abrasives into drilled holes and spun wooden poles back and forth, slowly grinding the rock away. Yet even with the most generous calculations, that method would take months, maybe even years, to create a single core hole like the ones at Giza. And those cores, they tell another story. Sir William Flinders Petrie, the father of modern Egyptology, examined these mysterious stone cores in the 19th century. He wasn't a fringe theorist. He was one of the most respected scientists of his time. When he looked at those cores, he saw feed marks, fine spiral grooves, consistent with high-speed rotary drilling. Petrie wrote, "These grooves run in a regular helix, as if made by a modern lathe. Their depth and angle are unlike anything possible by hand rotation." In other words, the ancient Egyptians might have used machining technology, and that shouldn't have existed. The question is, how? How could a civilization, supposedly armed with only copper chisels and stone hammers, create drill marks that modern engineers struggle to replicate even with steel? Some researchers suggest the ancients may have used a bow drill, a simple wooden shaft spun with a string. But copper, being soft, would melt under the friction of granite. Others believe they combined copper tubes with quartz sand and water, a slurry abrasive technique. That could work, but it doesn't explain the depth per revolution recorded on the cores. Measured precisely, those grooves show that the drill advanced 1/10 of an inch per turn, an absurdly high rate of penetration for copper. Even modern carbide drills don't achieve that in granite. So what are we missing? Could the copper drill bits we've found be only the outer shell of something more complex? Perhaps the ancients had mastered composite tools, copper surrounding a harder insert, like corundum, emery, or even diamond dust. Some experimental archaeologists have tried replicating the cuts with those materials, and found partial success. But there's something deeper, stranger. The precision itself feels deliberate, mathematical, almost mechanical. The holes aren't random. They line up along perfect axes, cut at uniform depths, oriented in geometric relation to nearby blocks. It's as if whoever made them understood engineering tolerance, the kind we associate with modern machines. When you walk through the ancient workshops of Egypt, in Saqqara, at Abu Sir, or near the Giza Plateau, you'll notice something most tourists miss: not just the pyramids, but the tool marks themselves. They whisper of lost technique, of vanished science. Look at the granite boxes of the Serapeum, buried beneath Saqqara. Each box weighs over 70 tons, carved from solid Aswan granite, polished inside and out. The corners are so sharp you could slice paper on them. The walls are perfectly parallel, within fractions of a millimeter. When laser measured, these boxes reveal a degree of flatness comparable to optical-grade precision. And yet the official explanation remains the same: copper tools and manpower. But that's not how granite behaves. Try scratching a piece of Aswan granite with copper. It leaves no mark. Try cutting it. The copper bends first. So how were these colossal artifacts shaped, hollowed and polished? Some say we've underestimated the Egyptians, that their mastery of abrasives, combined with sheer willpower, could achieve anything. Others believe something more profound, that what we're looking at is a remnant of an earlier civilization, one that vanished long before Egypt rose, a people who left behind their machines, their knowledge, their tools, perhaps even their copper drills. Let's look closer at those drills. When metallurgists examined some of the ancient copper bits found in Egypt, they noticed traces of arsenic and tin, elements that make copper harder, more durable, more resistant to wear. Could these have been early bronze alloys, far more advanced than what we assumed existed at the time? Or maybe these tools were used not alone, but in conjunction with energy, rotational, magnetic, or even acoustic. Ancient texts speak of vibrations that could lift stones and voices that commanded matter. Far-fetched? Maybe. But consider the precision core samples of Giza. They look simple. Small cylinders of granite, rough at the edges, dusty and unassuming. But within these ancient stones lies one of the most unsettling questions in all of archaeology. How did the ancient Egyptians drill through granite with such impossible precision? Buried deep within the quarries near Giza and scattered in museum archives are these mysterious core samples, perfectly round, deeply grooved, and spiraled in a way that seems mechanical. Each one was pulled from solid granite, basalt, or diorite, stones that modern engineers need diamond-tipped tools to shape. Yet these cores are at least 4,500 years old, dating back to the age of the pyramids, long before steel, electricity, or machines were supposed to exist. What they reveal challenges everything we think we know about how Egypt was built. When you look closely, under magnification, the surface of these cores is astonishing. They aren't chipped or crushed, they're cut. Smooth, continuous, helical grooves spiral down their length, like the threads of a screw. Each groove is uniform, evenly spaced, and perfectly circular, the kind of geometry you'd expect from a high-speed industrial drill, not a copper pole turned by human hands. So the question is simple: who drilled them, and how? Back in 1889, a man named Sir William Flinders Petrie, one of the most respected Egyptologists of his time, first brought these artifacts to public attention. Petrie wasn't a sensationalist. He was a scientist, a meticulous observer, who spent decades documenting Egypt's ruins, tools, and measurements. But when he studied these granite cores, he saw something that didn't make sense. He wrote, "The spiral grooves run with a regularity and depth which suggest mechanical drilling. The rate of feed of the tool must have been at least 1/100th of an inch per revolution, far in advance of any modern method of drilling hard stone." Think about that. A copper drill, thousands of years ago, cutting granite faster than modern steel? Impossible. At least, according to everything we know about physics and metallurgy. Copper is soft. Granite is not. If you press copper against granite, the copper bends and melts long before the stone gives way. Yet the evidence in Giza says otherwise. The grooves are too deep, too consistent, too perfect to be the result of hand-powered drilling. So how did they do it? The mainstream explanation says the ancient Egyptians used a simple tube drill, a hollow copper cylinder, turned back and forth with a bowstring or by hand, while sand and water were poured in as abrasives. Over time, the sand would grind through the rock. In theory, that works, but painfully slowly. Experimental archaeologists who've tried this method can drill maybe 1 centimeter per hour, and even that leaves irregular, shallow marks. But the cores of Giza aren't irregular, they're mathematically precise. They show a feed rate so consistent that it suggests the tool never wobbled, never slowed, never stopped. It behaved like a machine. If the ancients really used copper, then something else must have been at play, something that gave them more power, more control, and more precision than simple hand tools could offer. Some researchers propose that the copper drills were just the conductive outer shell of a more complex instrument, perhaps tipped with harder materials like corundum or emery. Others go further, suggesting the use of acoustic or vibrational technology, where sound waves or resonance could weaken the atomic bonds of the stone, allowing it to be cut like butter. It sounds incredible, but maybe not impossible. The ancient Egyptians had a deep understanding of vibration, resonance, and frequency. Their temples were built to hum at specific pitches. The Great Pyramid itself resonates when struck. Its chambers produce standing waves at frequencies that amplify human voice. If they knew how sound interacted with stone, could they have used it to drill or shape it? Imagine a copper tube spinning not by muscle, but by harmonic resonance, where sound and motion combine to pulverize the stone at a molecular level. The copper would only act as a guide, not the cutter. This could explain the otherwise unexplainable: why the grooves look machined, why the drill advanced at such a high rate, and why no debris of failed attempts has ever been found. And if that's true, then what we're looking at isn't primitive technology, it's lost technology. The deeper you look, the stranger it becomes. In the same quarries, you find the unfinished obelisk of Aswan, a colossal monument left halfway carved from the granite bedrock. Along its walls are similar drill marks, wide, sweeping grooves that descend in smooth arcs, no hammer marks, no chisel scars, just the telltale spirals as if giant machinery once bored through the stone. Even the sarcophagus boxes of the Serapeum show signs of mechanical finishing. The interior corners are perfectly square, their surfaces flat to within thousandths of an inch. Modern machinists who have examined them claim they could only be achieved with precision lathes or cutting tools, not with chisels and copper saws. Could the same lost technology that produced the Giza cores have shaped the Serapeum boxes, the temples of Abu Sir, and the casing stones of the Great Pyramid? If so, then Egypt wasn't just a kingdom of farmers and priests, it was a civilization that inherited, or rediscovered, an advanced industrial science. The Serapeum's magnetic sarcophagi. Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt, where the desert wind whispers through forgotten tombs, there lies a place that few have ever seen, a silent labyrinth, carved deep into the limestone bedrock, older than empires, darker than memory itself. This is the Serapeum of Saqqara, a world of shadows, granite, and impossible craftsmanship. Inside these tunnels rest some of the most mysterious artifacts ever found in human history. 24 colossal black granite boxes, each weighing up to 70 tons. They sit in silence, like sleeping giants, untouched for thousands of years. No hieroglyphs, no inscriptions, no explanation, only perfection, precision beyond what any copper tool could ever create. When French archaeologist Auguste Mariette broke through the sealed tunnels in 1851, he could hardly believe what he saw. He described immense sarcophagi, polished to mirror brightness, edges so straight you could cut your finger on the line between shadow and stone. And yet, these were not royal tombs. There were no pharaohs here, no mummies, no treasures, just boxes. But these boxes are not ordinary. Each one carved from a single block of Aswan granite, the hardest material the ancient Egyptians ever worked with. And somehow, in a time before steel, before drills, before electricity, they achieved a level of precision that modern engineers still struggle to replicate. The lids alone weigh more than an elephant herd. Their corners meet at perfect right angles. The interiors are so flat that lasers reveal only microns of variance. Some say even today's best machine tools could barely produce such refinement. And yet here they are, carved thousands of years ago, deep beneath the desert of Saqqara. So the question is, how? How did they carve, polish, and move granite blocks weighing as much as a small locomotive through narrow tunnels no taller than a man's shoulders? How did they lower these monoliths into position with such impossible accuracy, and why? Mainstream Egyptologists say the Serapeum was built to house the Apis bulls, sacred animals worshipped as divine manifestations of the god Ptah. When each bull died, it was embalmed and entombed in one of these boxes, offerings to the gods of Memphis. But if that's true, why are almost all the boxes empty? Where are the remains? The few fragments found, bits of bone, a smear of resin, could never justify the scale, precision, and effort involved in creating these megalithic sarcophagi. And there's something even stranger. When modern researchers tested the granite, they found it filled with quartz and magnetite, minerals capable of holding and amplifying magnetic and vibrational energy. Under certain conditions, these stones can react to magnetic fields. Some explorers even claim to have felt subtle magnetic pulls when standing near the boxes. Coincidence? Or were these chambers designed with purpose, not as tombs but as machines? Imagine this, the earth itself humming beneath the desert, low-frequency energy moving through the crust, conducted by the granite's crystalline structure. Each box, like a resonant chamber, amplifying, focusing, channeling unseen forces. The ancient Egyptians may have understood that sound and vibration could shape reality. Their temples, pyramids, and statues were all built to resonate, to sing with the voice of the earth. Could the Serapeum have been a vast subterranean resonator, a tuning chamber where frequency met form? To the untrained eye, these are simply tombs. But to those who look deeper, they seem more like the components of a forgotten technology, a form of energy manipulation so advanced, it borders on science fiction. When sound engineers mapped the Serapeum, they noticed something remarkable. The tunnels amplify specific frequencies between 1110 and 120 Hz. That's the same range where quartz begins to vibrate. Could this have been intentional? Did the builders know how to create acoustic resonance within the granite, harnessing energy from the planet itself? And what if the so-called bulls were never animals at all, but symbols of power and vibration? The Apis bull was sacred because it represented life force, frequency, motion, the eternal pulse of creation. Maybe these boxes weren't built to hold the dead, but to awaken the earth. The mystery deepens when you look at the craftsmanship. The walls of each box are parallel within microns, as if machined by computer-guided tools. Inside, the polish reflects light like a mirror. This is not the work of hand chisels and sand. This is engineering. But whose? Some point to a lost high-technology civilization, one that predated dynastic Egypt, a culture that vanished in the cataclysms of deep prehistory, leaving behind only silent stone. Others suggest extraterrestrial knowledge, that these boxes were energy storage units, like crystal batteries, tuned to the Earth's resonance grid. It sounds impossible, but so does the stone itself. As you move deeper through the tunnels, the air changes, the silence grows thick, pressing in on your skin. You can feel a vibration, faint but real, as if the stone remembers what it was built for. Some visitors say their compasses spin, others claim their cameras malfunction, and all agree on one thing: standing beside those boxes feels alive. Archaeologists have measured traces of magnetism emanating from certain points on the box's surfaces. A few boxes are so perfectly balanced that even a slight tap creates an echo lasting several seconds. It's as if the chambers themselves are singing, waiting for a frequency that no longer exists. So who built the Serapeum? Pharaohs? Gods? Or something else entirely? Even today, Egyptologists can't explain how these 70-ton lids were lowered into place inside narrow chambers with no room for maneuvering. The official story says ramps and manpower, but no ramps have ever been found, and the logistics defy reason. It would take hundreds of men just to move one block. Yet these boxes were placed with surgical precision, in total darkness, thousands of years ago. It's not just a mystery of engineering, it's a mystery of intent. Why build something so precise, so powerful, so hidden beneath the ground? Perhaps it wasn't built for the dead, but by those who understood energy, frequency, and vibration in ways we have yet to rediscover. Because these stones don't just hold history, they hum with it. They remember something older than Egypt, older than civilization. The obsidian blade that never dulls. Beneath the golden sands of ancient Egypt, where the Nile once shimmered with life, and the sun rose over temples of stone, lies a mystery that cuts deeper than any pyramid secret. A blade so sharp it could split a human hair, so flawless it has never dulled, not even after thousands of years. Archaeologists call it a ceremonial knife, but those who have held it in gloved hands know it's something more. They call it the obsidian blade that never dulls. Found buried among the relics of Egypt's distant past, this small jet-black artifact defies the logic of its age. Forged not from copper or bronze, not from iron or steel, but from obsidian, volcanic glass, it shimmers with a mirror-dark glow, edges so perfect they rival modern surgical scalpels. When examined under electron microscopes, the edge of the blade is measured not in millimeters or microns, but in molecules. Scientists say it's sharper than any metal humanity has ever produced. Yet this impossibly fine craftsmanship comes from a civilization that, according to our textbooks, didn't even know how to forge iron. How could they have made such a blade, and why does it still glint with perfection after more than 3,000 years beneath the desert sands? The story begins in Hierakonpolis, an ancient city once alive with artisans, priests, and kings, the beating heart of pre-dynastic Egypt. There, among tombs older than the pharaohs themselves, archaeologists unearthed a small cache of ritual objects. Amid ivory combs and carved palettes lay a dark, razor-edged fragment of obsidian. It looked almost ordinary at first glance, but under the desert sun it caught the light like liquid fire, and that was when the questions began. Obsidian does not exist naturally in Egypt. The nearest volcanic deposits are hundreds of miles away, deep within the mountains of Ethiopia or across the Red Sea in Yemen. To bring it here, someone had to mine, transport, and carve it long before Egypt's first dynasties even existed. Who were these craftsmen who could shape glass with atomic precision, and what was the true purpose of this strange black blade? Under the microscope, the blade's edge is perfect, too perfect. Even modern obsidian knives, used in surgery today, dull after several cuts. But this one? Its edge remains untouched. Archaeologists tested its structure, expecting fractures or microchips, but found none. The surface is so finely worked that it shows the telltale pattern of pressure flaking, a technique that should not have existed in Egypt at that time. It's as if whoever made it understood the molecular tension of the glass itself, a craftsman or something far beyond. Some believe it was ceremonial, a knife used by priests in ancient rituals, its edge reserved for the most sacred acts. Others whisper it was never meant for flesh, but for energy. A conductor, a tool of precision meant to channel resonance or light. In ancient myths, obsidian was the stone of tears, believed to hold the darkness of creation itself. Could this blade have been more than a weapon? Could it have been a key to some forgotten technology, lost before history began? Obsidian has unique properties. It's not just sharp, it's electrically neutral, non-corrosive, and capable of retaining charge under specific frequencies. Modern science uses it in optics, microchips, even laser instruments. What if the ancients already knew that? What if the so-called ceremonial knives were precision tools, used to manipulate materials or energies we no longer understand? When the blade was found, traces of something unexpected were detected on its edge. Residues of gold and organic resin, substances used not for cutting, but for bonding. Why coat a blade with resin and gold, unless it was meant to channel energy, not blood? Some Egyptologists dismiss this as coincidence, ritual decoration, but others, the quiet few who study Egypt's anomalies, believe it hints at something profound, that Egypt's earliest engineers inherited a knowledge older than their own civilization. Consider this. Even in their carvings, the Egyptians show tools of astonishing precision, lines straighter than a laser's path, corners perfect to fractions of a millimeter. The same perfection we see in this obsidian blade. Could it be that both came from the same source of knowledge, a legacy passed down from a time when the world was young, when stone and light were one science? Let's imagine this, a world before dynasties, before temples and tombs. A time when those who walked this land were not primitive farmers, but scientists of another age. They carved in glass and stone because they understood their atomic harmony. They didn't build to survive the years, they built to resonate through them. And this blade, this silent black shard, could be the echo of that forgotten age. The Egyptians themselves spoke of the Zep Tepi, the first time when gods walked among men, bringing knowledge from the heavens. They said the tools of those gods could cut through granite as easily as butter. Could the obsidian blade be one of those divine instruments preserved through ritual and myth, an heirloom of the gods, made by hands we no longer recognize as human? Obsidian is brittle, it breaks easily, yet this blade remains flawless. Thousands of years buried in shifting sands, and not a single fracture mars its edge. It's as if the material was stabilized, hardened beyond what natural glass can endure. Some scientists have proposed that it might have been treated through an unknown process, perhaps heat-tempered, or exposed to a controlled electromagnetic field that altered its crystalline structure, but no one has been able to reproduce it. Every attempt to replicate its durability has failed. The deeper you go into this mystery, the more it feels as though the blade itself resists understanding. It sits in museum glass cases, reflecting the eyes of those who stare at it, each person seeing something different: a tool, a weapon, a relic, a clue. And yet, none can say for certain who made it, how it was made, or why it remains sharper than science allows. Some whisper of Atlantean origins, suggesting that this was a survival of a pre-flood civilization, one that mastered crystalline and volcanic materials to an atomic level. Others think it was part of an ancient experiment in sound and frequency, where obsidian, being a natural insulator, could channel resonant energies for healing, or even construction. Could this blade have once vibrated with sound, cutting not matter, but energy itself? Imagine a ritual chamber, lit by oil lamps, walls carved with hieroglyphs of stars and gods. A priest stands before an altar, holding the blade above a vessel of gold. He speaks a name, not a word, but a tone. The sound fills the chamber, low, and the sistrum as a sonic device. In the grand halls of ancient Egyptian temples, amidst the scent of incense and the flicker of torchlight, there existed an instrument both humble and profound, the sistrum. To the casual observer, it might appear as nothing more than a small metal rattle, a simple object held in the hands of priests and priestesses. But within its unassuming form lay a depth of purpose that connected the earthly realm to the divine, blending music, ritual, and an understanding of sound that modern science is only beginning to grasp. The sistrum was closely tied to the goddess Hathor, the divine embodiment of music, joy, and cosmic balance. In countless temple carvings and tomb paintings, she is depicted holding it, or standing near those who wield it, smiling as the metallic rings shimmered with each motion. Its sound, a soft but persistent jingling, was believed to awaken unseen forces, to clear negative energies, and to open pathways for divine presence to enter the sacred space. The instrument was never simply ornamental, it was functional, a tool designed with precision to elicit not just hearing, but feeling. When the sistrum was used in ritual, its vibrations echoed through stone chambers with astonishing resonance. Ancient builders had chosen materials with care. Granite, quartz, and limestone responded to sound in ways that amplified its power, creating reverberations that seemed to carry through both the temple and the mind of every participant. The spacing of the metal rings, the length of the handle, and the shape of the frame were not arbitrary. Every detail contributed to tonal qualities that could calm, energize, or inspire, depending on the intent of the ritual. Ceremonies often combined the sistrum with rhythmic chanting, coordinated movements, and dance. Priests would move through the temple, swinging the instrument in sync with sacred chants, creating a tapestry of sound and motion that engaged the body, the senses, and the spirit. Observers described the sensation as immersive, almost hypnotic. The vibrations could be felt through the floor and walls, surrounding the participants in an invisible energy that made the divine seem present in the very air around them. In funerary rituals, the sistrum played a different, yet equally vital role. As the deceased were prepared for their journey to the afterlife, the instrument's sound accompanied the process, guiding souls through the perilous paths of the underworld. It was believed that the jingling could ward off malevolent spirits and provide the courage needed for the departed to face the trials ahead. Every swing, every ring of the metal was laden with intention, a combination of spiritual guidance and practical effect designed to influence both the living and the dead. Modern researchers examining ancient temple sites have been struck by what they call acoustic alignment. Stone walls, high ceilings, and chambers shaped in precise ways seemed intentionally designed to amplify the sistrum's sound. The Egyptians, it appears, had discovered principles of vibration and resonance long before these concepts were formalized by scientists. They understood, through careful observation and experimentation, how sound could fill a space, influence perception, and even alter the mood and focus of those within it. The sistrum's design varied across regions and periods. Some were small and handheld, perfect for private rituals or personal devotion. Others were larger, heavier, and more elaborate, intended for grand ceremonies in massive temple halls. In each case, the metal itself mattered. Bronze, copper, and alloys were chosen for their particular tonal qualities, producing sounds that were subtle yet penetrating, capable of resonating with both human ears and the stone structures around them. For the people of ancient Egypt, music and ritual were inseparable from daily life. Festivals, coronations, religious observances, and funerary rites all relied on instruments like the sistrum to convey messages, set moods, and create a connection between the mundane and the divine. Sound was a language, one that could communicate with gods and spirits, and those who mastered it held a form of power that transcended ordinary understanding. Even today, standing in the ruins of these temples, it is possible to imagine the effect of the sistrum. Close your eyes and you can hear it ringing softly through a hall of stone, vibrating through columns and floors as the chants of priests echo and swirl. You can almost feel the energy that filled the air, the presence of a civilization that understood the intangible forces of sound and used them to shape their world. The sistrum reminds us that ancient Egyptians were not merely builders of monuments and scribes of texts. They were engineers of experience, orchestrators of perception, and pioneers in areas that modern science is only beginning to explore. Sound, vibration, ritual, and architecture were all intertwined in a sophisticated understanding of human consciousness and the natural world. Even the simplest objects, like the sistrum, carry the weight of this knowledge. They speak of a civilization that saw the invisible threads connecting all things, life, death, matter, and spirit, and found ways to engage them through music, movement, and ritual. It is a testament to their ingenuity and insight, a reminder that what may seem simple on the surface can, in fact, hold layers of meaning and purpose far beyond our comprehension. In contemplating the sistrum, we begin to understand not just the sounds of ancient Egypt, but the people themselves, their beliefs, their innovations, and their pursuit of harmony between the earthly and the divine. It is through this lens that we see the sistrum not merely as an instrument, but as a key to a deeper understanding of one of history's most remarkable civilizations, a bridge between what we know and what remains a mystery, echoing across thousands of years. The alabaster lens array. In the dimly lit workshops of ancient Egypt, long before the age of electricity and magnifying glass, artisans were shaping objects from alabaster with astonishing precision. Among the most enigmatic of these creations are the alabaster lenses, delicate yet meticulously carved, capable of focusing and refracting light in ways that modern science only fully understands centuries later. Their purpose has puzzled scholars for generations, yet their existence suggests a sophistication in optical understanding that challenges our assumptions about ancient technology. These lenses are not merely decorative. Their smooth, curved surfaces and carefully calculated thicknesses hint at knowledge of refraction and light manipulation. When held in the sunlight, they can focus rays into a sharp point, a rudimentary magnifying effect that could concentrate the sun's energy. Some lenses are small enough to be worn or embedded in jewelry, while others are larger, designed to sit in specialized mounts. Every curve and contour appears intentional, as though the artisans had a clear vision of the optical outcomes they wanted to achieve. The locations of these lenses are equally intriguing. Found in temples, tombs, and workshops, they suggest a dual purpose, functional tools for crafting and ceremonial objects imbued with symbolic meaning. In some sacred chambers, inscriptions and reliefs depict priests and deities interacting with objects that resemble lenses, hinting that light itself may have held ritual significance. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians saw these lenses not only as instruments of practical use, but also as conduits to focus divine energy, to illuminate statues, hieroglyphs, or sacred texts in a precise and meaningful way. Modern experiments with these alabaster pieces have yielded surprising results. When light passes through them, even slight imperfections become visible, demonstrating that ancient craftsmen had to work with exceptional skill to achieve clarity and precision. Some researchers propose that they were used to ignite fires by concentrating sunlight, functioning as primitive magnifying glasses. Others suggest they may have been part of an early optical system designed to enhance visibility or even assist in carving and inspecting delicate hieroglyphs on tomb walls. The combination of artistic beauty and potential functionality is striking. The science behind lenses is complex, yet the Egyptians approached it intuitively. They observed how light behaved when passing through water, polished stone, and crystal. Over generations, these observations evolved into practical applications, with the alabaster lenses representing the culmination of careful experimentation and craftsmanship. Their presence in tombs may also indicate a symbolic role. Just as lenses concentrate and direct light, they could have been seen as focusing spiritual energy, guiding the soul through the afterlife, or illuminating hidden knowledge for the initiated. What makes these artifacts even more fascinating is their variety. Some lenses are perfectly flat on one side, convex on the other, while others are double convex, each shape altering how light is manipulated. This variation implies that different lenses serve different purposes, perhaps tailored to specific rituals, construction tasks, or visual enhancements. The precision required to produce such lenses from alabaster, a relatively soft but brittle material, speaks volumes about the skill and patience of these ancient artisans. The placement of these lenses in archaeological sites raises further questions. Why are they often found alongside tools, statues, and ceremonial items? Could they have been used to focus sunlight onto sacred symbols during particular times of the year, creating visual effects that enhanced religious experiences? Could they have been part of a sophisticated system of light and shadow, designed to transform temple interiors into spaces of wonder, mystery, and power? Every discovery adds to the sense that ancient Egyptian knowledge extended far beyond what we commonly understand. Even today, holding one of these lenses in your hand evokes awe. The smooth surface, cool to the touch, reflects and bends light in ways that seem almost magical. Imagine an artisan centuries ago, carefully shaping each curve with rudimentary tools, guided by intuition and meticulous observation, producing an object capable of manipulating light itself. These lenses bridge the gap between art, science, and spirituality, offering a rare glimpse into the intellectual and creative sophistication of ancient Egypt. Scholars continue to debate their exact function. Were they practical tools, ceremonial instruments, or both? Could they have been part of optical systems that predate our understanding of lenses by thousands of years? What remains undeniable is that the alabaster lens array exemplifies a civilization that blended observation, creativity, and ingenuity, producing artifacts that still challenge modern interpretations of technology and science. In considering the alabaster lenses, we are reminded that ancient Egypt was more than pyramids and pharaohs. It was a civilization of thinkers and experimenters, observing the world in ways that remain relevant and astonishing today. The lenses are silent witnesses, holding stories of skill, curiosity, and the relentless pursuit of understanding the unseen forces that shape our world. Through their light, we glimpse the ingenuity of a people who understood, in ways we are only beginning to comprehend, the profound relationship between matter, energy, and perception. And so, as sunlight passes through the polished surfaces of these ancient artifacts, we are invited to see what the Egyptians saw, not just light, but knowledge, power, and the endless possibilities of human ingenuity, captured in stone, preserved across millennia, waiting for us to decipher their secret. The pharaoh's conductive sandals. In the blazing heat of the ancient Egyptian desert, a pharaoh's steps were more than mere movement. Every stride across the sands was deliberate, ceremonial, and perhaps technologically significant. Among the most enigmatic discoveries associated with the rulers of Egypt are the so-called conductive sandals, footwear that has sparked intrigue among archaeologists, historians, and engineers alike. These sandals, constructed with remarkable ingenuity, suggest an understanding of materials and electricity that modern science struggles to fully explain. At first glance, the sandals appear ordinary. Leather soles, straps to hold them securely in place, and embellishments fit for royalty. But upon closer examination, researchers noticed thin sheets of metal, often copper or gold, embedded within the soles. These metals, combined with conductive fibers interwoven into the leather, suggest that the sandals were designed to channel energy, or at least interact with the natural electrical properties of the earth and the human body. Could it be that the pharaohs were intentionally walking in a way that harnessed electrical charge, or was it a ritualistic symbol of power? The historical context provides clues. Ancient Egyptians were deeply aware of the forces of nature. They observed the sun, lightning storms, and the flow of the Nile, integrating these observations into their religion, architecture, and daily life. Temples often aligned with celestial events, statues were placed in positions to maximize light and shadow, and sacred objects were crafted with materials chosen for their symbolic and functional properties. Within this worldview, conductive sandals take on a layered significance. They could have been both practical instruments and symbols of divine authority, connecting the wearer to unseen forces and emphasizing the pharaoh's unique status among men. Modern experiments have attempted to test these theories. Using replicas of the sandals, researchers have explored their potential for conducting electrical currents, focusing on the interaction between metallic inserts, human sweat, and mineral-rich sand. Preliminary results indicate that, under certain conditions, small currents could indeed flow through the sandals, enough to produce mild electrical sensations. While not dangerous, these effects could have been perceived as mystical or empowering, reinforcing the pharaoh's connection to the gods and the divine energy of the earth. The craftsmanship of the sandals is equally impressive. The metallic components were finely hammered and polished, shaped to follow the contours of the foot while remaining discreet. Ancient artisans ensured that the materials were durable yet flexible, allowing for both ceremonial use and prolonged wear. Every stitch, every embedded wire or sheet, reflects careful planning, technical knowledge, and artistic sensibility. This is not accidental design, it is deliberate engineering, evidence that ancient Egyptians were experimenting with materials in ways we are only beginning to understand. Further insights come from the contexts in which these sandals were discovered. They are often found in tombs, alongside other artifacts intended to accompany the pharaoh into the afterlife. This placement raises intriguing questions. Were these sandals meant to maintain a flow of energy even in death, assisting the pharaoh's journey into the afterworld? Or were they primarily ritual objects, demonstrating status and invoking supernatural protection? The duality of function and symbolism is a hallmark of ancient Egyptian ingenuity, blurring the lines between science, art, and spirituality. The metallurgical techniques used in the sandals also reveal a sophisticated understanding of material properties. Copper and gold were not chosen at random, they were prized for their conductivity, durability, and sacred associations. Gold, in particular, was linked to the sun god Ra, symbolizing eternal life, divine authority, and energy itself. By incorporating these metals into wearable objects, the Egyptians may have been combining practical experimentation with profound spiritual symbolism, creating an artifact that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. Even today, the sandals captivate researchers and enthusiasts alike. Holding a fragment, one can imagine a pharaoh striding across sun-baked temple floors, conducting hidden energies, and reinforcing his divine mandate with every step. The blend of science, ritual, and artistry is breathtaking, revealing a culture that did not separate technology from spirituality, but rather wove them together into a coherent worldview. Ultimately, the conductive sandals challenge our understanding of ancient technology. They force us to ask, did the Egyptians possess knowledge that predates modern science, or were these artifacts symbolic representations of abstract principles we cannot fully comprehend? Whatever the answer, the sandals are a testament to human creativity, curiosity, and the relentless pursuit of mastery over the physical and metaphysical world. As we examine these enigmatic sandals, we are reminded that ancient Egypt was a civilization of experimenters, thinkers, and visionaries. Every artifact, every design, every embedded sheet of metal carries whispers of innovation and reverence, and as we walk in the shadow of these discoveries, the conductive sandals invite us to step carefully, to consider the invisible currents that shaped the past, and to marvel at the ingenuity that allowed humanity to harness both nature and imagination in ways that continue to mystify us to this day. The blue faience capacitor tiles. In the sun-scorched temples and workshops of ancient Egypt, a small, unassuming artifact has puzzled historians and engineers alike for decades. These are the blue faience tiles, a material so ordinary at first glance that they might easily be overlooked, yet they may hold secrets far beyond their aesthetic beauty. Made from a vibrant blue ceramic-like material known as faience, these tiles are remarkable not only for their color and craftsmanship, but also for the possibility that they functioned as early capacitors, primitive electrical storage devices that could have played a role in rituals, energy manipulation, or even experimental engineering. Faience itself is a fascinating material. Composed of ground quartz, coated with a vitreous glaze, it could be molded into countless shapes, fired to hardness, and polished to brilliance. In ancient Egypt, faience was used for jewelry, amulets, small statues, and decorative architectural tiles. Its distinctive turquoise hue, reminiscent of the Nile and the sky, symbolized life, fertility, and divine protection. Yet beyond symbolism, some tiles reveal metal inclusions, conductive properties, and design patterns that suggest they may have been more than ornamental. The idea that these tiles could function as capacitors arises from their material composition and configuration. In modern electronics, a capacitor stores electrical energy between conductive plates separated by an insulating material. Certain faience tiles, when combined with copper or gold inserts, demonstrate a similar potential. Archaeologists have uncovered sets of these tiles arranged with metallic wiring, in alignment with temple structures and sacred altars, prompting the question, were these tiles designed to hold or channel electrical charge? Experimental archaeology has sought to answer this. Replicas of the tiles were created, following the same formulas and firing techniques described in ancient texts and confirmed through microscopic analysis. When tested under controlled conditions, the tiles could indeed store minor electrical charges and even generate small discharges when connected in sequences. While these currents are not comparable to modern electronics, their effects could have been significant in ritual contexts, producing sparks, generating static energy, or even influencing the properties of ceremonial liquids and objects. The context of discovery adds to the mystery. Many tiles were found near altars, ceremonial basins, or within temple walls that align with solar or celestial events. This placement suggests intentionality. The tiles were not randomly scattered, but carefully integrated into spaces of power and ritual significance. Could it be that priests or engineers of the time were experimenting with energy, combining their spiritual understanding with practical applications in ways that have been lost to history? Historical records offer tantalizing clues. Ancient Egyptian texts describe objects that hold the breath of Ra or contain the life of the heavens. While metaphorical, these phrases may hint at an understanding of stored energy or the manipulation of natural forces that went beyond religious symbolism. Paired with the physical properties of faience, these inscriptions suggest a worldview where technology, spirituality, and observation of nature were intertwined, and where objects could serve both practical and symbolic purposes simultaneously. The craftsmanship of the tiles is also remarkable. Each tile was shaped with precision, the metal sheets or wires embedded carefully to maintain insulation and conductivity. The faience itself had to be fired at precise temperatures, ensuring hardness without cracking, a process that required both skill and empirical knowledge. In some instances, the tiles were arranged in complex geometric patterns which may have influenced the flow of energy, amplified electrical effects, or simply aligned with ritualistic and astronomical principles. Some researchers propose that these tiles were part of a larger system, perhaps connected to other conductive objects, altars, or even the temple floor itself, creating an integrated network capable of producing observable electrical phenomena. Could the Egyptians have been capable of building rudimentary energy networks using knowledge of materials, geometry, and the natural conductive properties of minerals? The evidence, though fragmentary, invites serious consideration. Skeptics argue that attributing electrical function to these tiles is speculative. After all, no complete device has survived, and the most convincing arguments rely on fragments, wiring traces, and modern experimental replication. Yet, when combined with other ancient Egyptian artifacts, copper wires, magnetic stones, and metallic tools, a compelling picture emerges. A civilization experimenting with energy, electricity, and material properties long before such concepts were formally documented. The blue faience tiles, then, are more than decorative elements. They embody a fusion of art, ritual, and proto-technology. They hint at a society that was not merely observing the world but actively testing and harnessing natural forces, possibly for ceremonial, medical, or even experimental purposes. The vibrant turquoise glaze captures sunlight and attention alike, a reminder that ancient innovation often hid in plain sight, embedded in everyday materials and ritual objects. As we study these tiles today, we are left with both wonder and humility. They force us to rethink assumptions about ancient Egyptian knowledge and capabilities. Were these tiles merely symbolic, or did they represent a primitive form of electricity, a bridge between the natural and the supernatural? We may never know the full extent of their use, but each fragment tells a story of ingenuity, observation, and the relentless human desire to understand, manipulate, and connect with the forces of the world around us. The blue faience capacitor tiles remain a mystery, a testament to the skill and curiosity of their creators. They challenge modern minds to explore, experiment, and imagine, to see that even small, seemingly simple objects can hold secrets far beyond what history has revealed. In them, the ancient Egyptians left not just art, but a whisper of knowledge, an invitation to follow the currents of discovery, and a reminder that human ingenuity has always reached further than we sometimes dare to believe. The temple's liquid conductive channels. Hidden beneath the stones and pillars of ancient Egyptian temples lies a secret that has fascinated archaeologists, engineers, and historians for decades: the liquid conductive channels. These channels, etched into stone floors, carved along walls, or forming intricate basins, are not mere drainage systems or ritualistic water features. They represent a technology, an understanding of materials and energy that defies conventional assumptions about ancient civilizations. At first glance, the channels are simple. Shallow grooves, often lined with copper or coated with resin, trace complex patterns along temple floors. Water or other conductive liquids would flow through these channels, seemingly guiding it along specific paths. But why, and to what end? Modern analysis suggests that these channels could carry electrical current, enabling ancient priests and engineers to experiment with energy in ways that are only now beginning to be understood. Liquid conductivity is a basic principle. Certain fluids can carry an electric charge if guided through proper channels. In these Egyptian temples, channels were sometimes filled with mixtures of water, salt, and mineral compounds, materials known for their conductive properties. The precise construction of these channels, carved to exact measurements and gradients, indicates a sophisticated understanding of fluid dynamics and energy transfer. Such knowledge would have allowed the Egyptians to control the flow of energy across a space, harnessing it for ritual, practical, or perhaps even experimental purposes. The locations of these channels offer further clues. Many are found near altars, sacred pools, or statues, areas imbued with religious significance. Could the flow of energy have been amplified in these spaces? Were priests conducting experiments to interact with divine forces, or was this an early form of engineering aimed at understanding natural phenomena? The overlap of spiritual and technical purpose is a recurring theme in Egyptian architecture, and the liquid conductive channels fit seamlessly into this enigmatic tradition. Archaeologists have reconstructed models of these channels, using modern conductive liquids to replicate potential effects. In controlled experiments, the channels were capable of transferring small but noticeable charges, generating minor sparks or currents that could interact with metallic objects embedded in temple floors or walls. While far from modern electricity, these experiments suggest a remarkable degree of foresight, as if the Egyptians were testing the principles of energy long before formal science existed. The channels also align with other technological artifacts from the same period. Copper coils, magnetic stones, and metallic statues all point toward a culture experimenting with energy and materials, possibly combining liquid conduction with other forms of rudimentary electricity. Some researchers suggest that these channels could have been part of ceremonial devices, producing controlled shocks or stimulating objects in ways that enhanced religious rituals. In essence, the temples themselves could have been operating as experimental laboratories, blending the mystical with the mechanical. Historical texts, though cryptic, hint at this understanding. Descriptions of flowing life force, or water that carries the breath of Ra, may refer not just to metaphor but to tangible interactions with natural energies. The symbolic and literal use of liquids in rituals takes on new meaning when considered as conductive pathways, capable of transferring energy and potentially influencing objects or participants within the sacred space. Construction techniques reveal the Egyptians' meticulous approach. Channels were carved with remarkable precision, often aligning with star patterns, temple geometry, or sacred numerology. This careful design suggests more than decoration. It implies functional planning, ensuring that the flow of liquid and the potential transmission of energy occurred exactly as intended. Some channels even intersect with metallic components embedded in walls, floors, or statues, hinting at sophisticated systems designed to harness and manipulate energy. Skeptics argue that these channels are merely water management or ritualistic elements, but the cumulative evidence, the precision, the materials, and the alignment with other technological features suggests otherwise. By studying these channels alongside other artifacts, researchers are beginning to reconstruct a picture of ancient Egyptian experimentation with energy that rivals modern concepts of electricity and conduction. The implications are profound. If these channels were indeed used for conducting energy, they represent a level of technological innovation previously thought impossible for the era. They challenge the notion that electricity, experimentation with conductive materials, or the understanding of energy was limited to modern history. Instead, they hint at a civilization that combined observation, engineering, and ritual into practical systems that operated within both material and spiritual realms. The liquid conductive channels remind us that the ancient world still holds secrets far beyond our understanding. Each groove, each carefully carved basin, is evidence of a culture that sought to manipulate forces we are only now beginning to comprehend. Whether used for spiritual ceremonies, experimental energy applications, or both, these channels demonstrate that ingenuity, observation, and curiosity were as integral to ancient Egyptian life as religion and art. The Sphinx's resonant chamber. Beneath the sands of Giza, the Great Sphinx has stood for millennia, guarding secrets that continue to baffle historians, archaeologists, and engineers alike. While its face has gazed over the desert for thousands of years, some researchers now believe that the Sphinx hides something far more remarkable than mere symbolism or artistry. Deep within its body, hidden chambers may hold the key to a form of acoustic technology so advanced it challenges everything we know about ancient civilizations. This is the story of the Sphinx's resonant chamber, a theory first proposed by engineers and archaeologists who noticed subtle anomalies in the monument's internal structure. Surveys and ground-penetrating radar have revealed voids and cavities within the Sphinx, spaces that are too precise to be random erosion or natural fractures. These chambers, carefully aligned and sealed, may have been designed to manipulate sound, harness vibrations, or amplify acoustic phenomena in ways that are only now being understood. Acoustic resonance is not a new concept in modern science, but to imagine it in use thousands of years ago stretches the boundaries of our understanding. Resonance occurs when sound waves interact with a structure in a specific way, amplifying energy and creating harmonic frequencies. In the case of the Sphinx, the placement, shape, and materials of these chambers suggest they could function as natural amplifiers, capable of producing frequencies that interact with human perception, stone, and air in extraordinary ways. Some theorists propose that priests or engineers may have used these chambers to enhance ceremonial experiences, creating deep, vibrating tones that filled the interior of the Sphinx and the surrounding temples. These sounds could have been used for meditation, ritualistic purposes, or even as a form of communication with unseen forces. Ancient texts hint at voices of the gods and echoes of the earth. Phrases that once dismissed as poetic metaphor now take on an entirely new meaning when considered alongside the acoustic properties of the Sphinx. Modern experiments have attempted to reconstruct what the Sphinx's resonant chamber might have sounded like. Using scaled models and digital simulations, researchers have found that certain frequencies resonate perfectly within the chambers, amplifying sound to a degree that could be felt physically, vibrating floors, walls, and even the air itself. Imagine standing in one of these hidden spaces and hearing a deep harmonic hum that reverberates through your very body, a sensory experience designed to awe, to inspire, and perhaps to instruct. The chamber's alignment is also remarkable. They appear to correspond with celestial bodies, temple alignments, and even the rising and setting of the sun at key times of the year. This suggests that sound, space, and time were all interconnected in the design, blending astronomy, architecture, and acoustics into a single extraordinary system. Ancient engineers may have understood the interplay of vibrations and energy in ways that rival modern physics, yet questions remain. What exactly were these resonant chambers used for? Were they designed for practical applications, spiritual ceremonies, or both? Could these hidden voids have been intended to store energy, amplify chants, or even influence the mental and emotional state of those within the Sphinx? While definitive answers remain elusive, the evidence points to a civilization that experimented boldly with materials, sound, and space, creating experiences that transcend our conventional understanding of ancient engineering. The Sphinx's material itself may also play a role in this resonance. Limestone, the primary stone used to construct the monument, has unique vibrational properties that can enhance sound waves in specific ways. Combined with the precise shape and positioning of the chambers, it is conceivable that the Sphinx was engineered as a massive acoustic device, a temple, a laboratory, and a monument all in one. Skeptics argue that the cavities are natural faults or the result of erosion, yet the meticulous arrangement, uniformity, and strategic positioning of these spaces strongly suggest deliberate design. Across the world, from the pyramids to megalithic temples in Europe and Asia, ancient civilizations appear to have experimented with sound, vibration, and energy. The Sphinx's resonant chambers fit into this global pattern of forgotten knowledge, hinting at an advanced understanding of physics and acoustics long before modern science emerged. Even today, the resonant chamber invites curiosity. Archaeologists and engineers continue to explore, employing advanced scanning technologies, drones, and acoustic modeling to uncover the full extent of these hidden spaces. Every discovery deepens the mystery, suggesting that the Sphinx was not merely a statue, but a sophisticated instrument, a repository of sound, energy, and knowledge encoded in stone. The implications are staggering. If these chambers were indeed designed to resonate, to amplify energy or sound, they represent a level of technological sophistication and conceptual understanding that has been lost to time. Ancient Egypt, long admired for its monumental architecture and artistic achievements, may also have been home to acoustical innovations that rival modern laboratories. The Sphinx's resonant chamber reminds us that history is far from fully understood. Behind the stoic face and massive body, the pharaoh's light-focusing diadem. In the heart of ancient Egypt, amidst the grandeur of temples and the majesty of pharaohs, there exists a lesser-known artifact whose purpose continues to puzzle historians and scientists alike. This artifact is the pharaoh's light-focusing diadem, an ornate crown that, on its surface, appears to be purely ceremonial, yet closer examination suggests it may have been far more than a symbol of power. It could have been a device designed to manipulate and focus light, revealing a level of technological sophistication in ancient Egypt that modern science is only beginning to grasp. The diadem, often depicted in royal tombs and ceremonial carvings, was constructed from a combination of gold, crystal, and rare gemstones. Some researchers have proposed that the materials themselves were chosen not for aesthetic beauty alone, but for their optical properties. Ancient artisans may have understood how light interacts with these materials, focusing and refracting beams in precise ways. This is not mere speculation. Experimental studies on replica diadems suggest that under sunlight or torchlight, these crowns could concentrate light to a single point, creating a lensing effect that could illuminate objects, spaces, or even specific hieroglyphs in temples. The implications of this are staggering. If the diadem was indeed a light-focusing instrument, it could represent a practical understanding of optics and energy in a period traditionally thought to be limited to basic metallurgy and craft. The pharaoh, adorned with such a device, may have been able to cast concentrated beams of light during religious ceremonies, amplifying his divine presence and creating dramatic visual effects that would awe witnesses and reinforce his perceived connection to the gods. In addition to its ceremonial function, the diadem may have served as a tool for observation and experimentation. Scholars have suggested that by focusing sunlight through the crown's crystals, priests or engineers could study reflections, refractions, and even the potential for generating heat at a precise point. This aligns with other evidence of advanced experimentation in ancient Egypt, including the precise cutting of granite, the construction of monumental temples, and the alignment of structures with celestial bodies. The discovery of the diadem has led some researchers to speculate that light and energy were deliberately integrated into Egyptian ritual and technology. Temples were designed to capture the sun's movement across the sky, highlighting statues, carvings, and ceremonial spaces at precise moments. The light-focusing diadem may have been an extension of this philosophy, allowing the pharaoh to harness, direct, and manipulate sunlight in ways that amplified both the spiritual and practical impact of these rituals. Historical texts and tomb depictions provide further clues. Scenes show pharaohs holding crowns aloft, as if directing their light towards sacred spaces. Symbols of the sun and radiating lines frequently accompany these depictions, suggesting a deliberate connection between the crown, sunlight, and divine authority. These visual cues, combined with modern optical experiments, make it increasingly difficult to dismiss the diadem as merely ornamental. Experimental archaeologists have recreated replicas of the diadem using period-accurate materials and methods. When exposed to sunlight, the crown's crystals create concentrated beams capable of lighting small fires or illuminating deep recesses in temple walls. This demonstrates that the ancients may have understood principles of reflection and refraction, integrating them seamlessly into ceremonial objects. The knowledge required to design such an instrument, selecting materials, crafting precise geometries, and understanding the behavior of light, speaks to an intellectual sophistication, often underestimated in conventional histories of Egypt. The diadem also challenges our understanding of ancient symbolism. Egyptian art frequently associates the pharaoh with light, the sun god Ra, and cosmic energy. If the crown could physically focus light, then these symbolic associations may have been literal as well as spiritual. In this sense, the pharaoh became both a political and scientific figure, merging ceremonial authority with technological mastery. Yet, mysteries remain. How widely were these diadems used? Were they restricted to the king, or did high priests and temple engineers possess similar devices? Were they employed purely for ritual, or did they have practical applications in observation, construction, or experimentation? Despite centuries of scholarship, definitive answers remain elusive, leaving us to marvel at the ingenuity of those who first conceived these extraordinary instruments. The pharaoh's light-focusing diadem is more than a crown. It represents a convergence of art, science, and spirituality. It is evidence that the ancients not only revered the sun as a deity, but also understood and manipulated its energy in tangible ways. Each reflection, each beam, is a testament to a civilization capable of blending beauty and function, ceremony and science, in ways that continue to inspire wonder today. Standing before such an artifact, we are reminded that ancient Egypt is not only a land of monumental architecture and mysticism, but also a civilization that may have quietly harnessed the principles of light, energy, and technology long before the modern world understood them. The pharaoh's diadem is a window into that world, a world where symbolism and science were inseparable, and where even a crown could be an instrument of extraordinary power. As we peer into the mysteries of this diadem, one thing becomes clear. The ancients were far more innovative than we often give them credit for. They left behind tools, structures, and artifacts that challenge our understanding and invite us to explore, question, and imagine. The light-focusing diadem remains one of the most fascinating examples of this lost knowledge, a beacon, literally and figuratively, from the past, calling us to reconsider what was possible in the ancient world. The pyramid's water compression chamber. Deep within the heart of the Great Pyramid of Giza lies a chamber that has puzzled engineers, archaeologists, and explorers for centuries. Known among a few researchers as the water compression chamber, this hidden space has sparked theories that challenge everything we think we know about ancient Egyptian engineering. While the pyramid has long been celebrated as a tomb, some scholars now suggest it may have served purposes far beyond funerary rites, functioning as a colossal experiment in hydraulics, acoustics, and even energy generation. The chamber itself is hidden beneath the main corridors, constructed with perfectly fitted granite blocks capable of withstanding incredible pressure. Some theorists argue that these stones, arranged with almost surgical precision, suggest knowledge of water dynamics that far surpasses what we normally attribute to the builders of 4,500 years ago. The dimensions of the chamber, its sloping floors, and sealed conduits all point to a system that could channel and compress water with extraordinary efficiency. Modern experimental reconstructions have revealed that water, when introduced into a space like this, can create pressures strong enough to move massive blocks, generate vibrations, or even produce energy under certain conditions. If the ancient Egyptians understood how to control water in this way, it suggests they may have harnessed hydraulic power not merely for irrigation or construction, but as part of a more advanced technological system integrated into the pyramid itself. The implications are staggering. A structure traditionally thought to be static and symbolic may have been dynamic, designed to manipulate forces of nature in ways that modern engineers are only beginning to grasp. Some researchers have even proposed that the Great Pyramid's chambers could act as a giant resonator, where water and sound interact to create vibrational energy. If true, the water compression chamber could have amplified energy throughout the pyramid, a concept eerily similar to modern resonance and amplification experiments. Ancient texts provide tantalizing hints. Hieroglyphs rarely discuss technology openly, but depictions of water conduits, sacred flows, and the role of the Nile suggest a profound understanding of hydraulics. The water compression chamber may have been a physical manifestation of this knowledge, where ritual, engineering, and experimentation intersected. Priests could have used the chamber to study flow, pressure, and resonance, perhaps even creating mechanical effects during ceremonial events that symbolically connected the pharaoh to divine forces. Excavations and scans of the chamber reveal precise channels carved into the granite, with angled joints that would optimize the movement of water. These channels appear to serve no ordinary architectural purpose, as they don't contribute to structural support or drainage. Instead, they suggest intentional design, an ancient blueprint for water manipulation that hints at an almost modern understanding of fluid mechanics. Some researchers propose even bolder theories, that the pyramid may have functioned as an energy generator, with water compression providing mechanical force that could be converted into vibration or sound energy. This theory remains controversial, but experiments with scale models have shown that water confined within a sealed granite chamber can indeed create immense pressure, enough to move small objects or produce measurable vibrations. The ancients may have been using similar principles, albeit in ways we do not fully comprehend. The water compression chamber also highlights the broader sophistication of pyramid construction. Every block of granite, every corridor alignment, and every hidden space seems to serve a purpose beyond mere symbolism. These chambers suggest the architects were not just building monuments to gods or kings, but were also experimenting with natural forces, combining physics, material science, and architecture in ways that continue to astonish modern observers. Even today, drones and ground-penetrating radar uncover anomalies that hint at yet undiscovered chambers and conduits connected to the water compression chamber. Each discovery strengthens the argument that the pyramid was more than a tomb. It was a laboratory of stone, water, and energy, where ancient minds explored the limits of what was possible. The mystery of the water compression chamber reminds us that history is often written with gaps. For millennia, we have admired the pyramids for their scale and symmetry, yet perhaps we have underestimated the scientific genius of those who built them. These ancient engineers may have understood principles of hydraulics and energy that rival modern knowledge, embedding them into structures that have endured thousands of years. As we study the chamber, we are left with more questions than answers. Did the ancients intend the pyramid to produce energy? Were these chambers part of a lost technology, now silent beneath the sands? Or was the water compression chamber primarily symbolic, demonstrating mastery over natural forces as a metaphor for divine authority? Whatever the answers, the chamber continues to challenge our perceptions, inviting us to explore a civilization that merged spirituality, architecture, and technology in ways that remain almost unfathomable. In the end, the water compression chamber is not just a room within a pyramid. It is a testament to the ingenuity, ambition, and vision of the ancient Egyptians. It is a space where science, mysticism, and engineering converge, reminding us that the greatest mysteries of history are not just about what we find, but about the knowledge that was deliberately hidden, encoded in stone and water, waiting for the world to understand. The pyramid's thermal regulation stones. Hidden deep within the colossal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza lies a secret that continues to baffle scientists, engineers, and historians alike. While much attention has been given to the pyramid's grand design, its precision, and its alignment with the stars, a less obvious but equally astonishing feature is the role of its stones in regulating temperature. These are not ordinary building blocks. These carefully selected and positioned stones may have been part of an ancient climate control system, designed to maintain stable temperatures inside the pyramid, despite the harsh desert heat outside. For decades, researchers have noticed something peculiar about the granite and limestone used in the construction. Some stones retain heat longer, while others dissipate it rapidly. Combined with the pyramid's internal design, its chambers, shafts, and airways, this creates a microenvironment that maintains remarkable thermal stability. In a place where external temperatures can swing by more than 50 degrees Celsius, the interior of the pyramid stays astonishingly constant, keeping delicate burial chambers and possibly technological installations safe from extreme fluctuations. The choice of stones was deliberate. Ancient Egyptians sourced granite from Aswan, over 800 kilometers away, and transported limestone from nearby quarries. The harder granite, denser and better at absorbing and slowly releasing heat, lines the king's chamber. while lighter limestone in corridors and outer walls helps prevent excessive temperature spikes. This careful interplay may have been intended to protect sacred artifacts, mummies, and even the pyramid's hidden chambers from environmental stress, revealing a level of engineering sophistication that rivals modern design. Recent experiments with temperature sensors and heat flow models show that the pyramid's interior remains almost constant, with minimal daily or seasonal variations. For a civilization we often assume relied solely on manual labor and rudimentary tools, this level of thermal engineering is extraordinary. The arrangement of the stones, combined with precise air channels and vents, suggests knowledge of heat dynamics far beyond what we typically attribute to ancient societies. Some theorists propose that the pyramid may have been designed not only to preserve physical objects, but also to influence energy flows. Ancient Egyptian texts often speak of life force and Kappan energy, which some researchers interpret as a reference to subtle environmental manipulations. Could the thermal regulation system have been intended to channel or amplify such energy? While this remains speculative, the evidence of temperature control is undeniable, pointing to a sophisticated understanding of natural laws. The thermal stones also highlight the broader ingenuity of pyramid construction. Every element, from orientation and slope to chamber placement and stone selection, appears to serve multiple purposes. In addition to structural stability and astronomical alignment, the pyramid was carefully engineered to maintain optimal internal conditions, ensuring that its functions, whether ceremonial, practical, or possibly technological, could continue uninterrupted. Even today, the desert's scorching sun is no match for the pyramid's thermal design. Researchers using modern thermal imaging have observed that while the exterior surfaces heat rapidly under the sun, the internal chambers remain relatively cool. This indicates not just foresight in construction, but possibly an early form of passive environmental engineering, centuries ahead of its time. The thermal regulation stones challenge long-held assumptions about ancient Egyptian capabilities. They force us to consider that these builders were not merely tomb makers, but innovative engineers, capable of manipulating natural forces with precision and intent. The integration of heat-retaining and heat-dispersing stones reveals an understanding of thermodynamics even if they lack the formal scientific language we use today. Some experts even speculate that the pyramid may have functioned as a kind of controlled laboratory for observing energy, heat, and materials under constant conditions. Whether for religious rituals, preservation of sacred items, or experimental purposes, the thermal regulation stones demonstrate a mastery over the environment that is rarely acknowledged in discussions of ancient technology. As we walk through the corridors and chambers, imagining the builder's meticulous selection of each block, it becomes clear that the pyramid was more than a monument. It was a living system, designed with multiple layers of purpose: structural, ceremonial, and environmental. The stones themselves, silent and enduring, tell a story of innovation, foresight, and an almost mystical understanding of the forces that govern the natural world. The pyramid's thermal regulation stones stand as a testament to human ingenuity and ancient knowledge. They challenge our understanding of history, urging us to reconsider what the Egyptians truly knew about engineering, energy, and the manipulation of natural forces. Long after the builders have passed into legend, the stones continue their work, maintaining balance, protecting secrets, and inviting us to uncover the mysteries encoded in their precise, the crystal rod of the high priest. In the shadowed corridors of Egypt's ancient temples, where sunlight barely penetrates the thick stone walls, there exist artifacts that continue to baffle modern scholars. Among these is a single extraordinary object, the crystal rod of the high priest. Unlike the ceremonial scepters or ritual staffs familiar from hieroglyphs, this rod is carved from a flawless piece of crystal, polished to an astonishing degree of clarity, its surface smooth, almost alive with an inner light. To hold it, one feels the weight of history, the meticulous care of artisans, and perhaps a power long forgotten. The high priests of ancient Egypt were more than religious leaders. They were custodians of knowledge, guardians of secrets, and intermediaries between the mortal world and the divine. Temples were not just places of worship, they were centers of learning, experimentation, and observation. Every stone, every chamber, every artifact was designed with purpose, and in this context, the crystal rod may have been far more than a symbol. Scholars have long speculated that it could have been an instrument, a tool meant to manipulate light, energy, or sound in ways we are only beginning to imagine. Quartz, the material from which the rod was carved, possesses properties that modern scientists describe as piezoelectric. It can store, amplify, and release energy when subjected to pressure or vibration. In the hands of a high priest, wielding such a rod within the echoing chambers of a temple, these effects may have been magnified. Some researchers propose that the rod could have focused sunlight, refracted beams, or even concentrated energy in ways that were practical, ritualistic, or symbolic. We may never know the exact intention, but the precision and care of its construction suggest it was far from a decorative trinket. Reliefs and carvings in temples offer tantalizing hints. High priests are depicted holding long, slender rods during ceremonies, surrounded by symbols of light, fire, and divine energy. They stand beside altars, beside pools of water that might have amplified reflections, or within chambers with acoustics designed to resonate. Could these rods have been part of a larger system, a way to harness and direct natural forces? Some theorists suggest that the ancient Egyptians had an intuitive grasp of concepts we now associate with physics, resonance, energy conduction, and amplification. Further mystery surrounds the placement of these rods. They are often discovered alongside other unusual artifacts, polished stone discs, metallic plates, and objects that resemble modern electrical components. Together they hint at experimentation, at an ancient science intertwined with ritual, where the boundaries between practical and sacred were indistinguishable. The rod's design suggests they were calibrated for specific effects. The length, the diameter, the angles of their facets, all may have played a role in concentrating unseen forces. Modern experiments with replicas show that even minor pressure, friction, or sunlight on quartz can produce subtle vibrations, slight energy currents, and effects on nearby metallic objects. While we cannot confirm the exact understanding of the ancients, these observations reinforce the notion that the rods were intentionally functional. Within the enclosed spaces of a temple, surrounded by stone walls and acoustic chambers, a high priest could have harnessed these properties to enhance ceremonies, focus attention, or even influence environmental elements like water or air currents. The crystal rod may have been used in combination with light, reflecting the sun or torchlight, creating intense points of illumination in sacred spaces. Some theorists even suggest the rods could have been aligned with certain constellations or celestial events, further bridging the realms of ritual and science. Ancient Egyptians meticulously studied the heavens, measured the Nile's rise and fall, and aligned monuments with the stars. In this context, the crystal rod becomes not just a tool, but part of a cosmic system, a device that connected the material world with the celestial. Accounts from tombs and temple reliefs hint at the high priest's knowledge of subtle energies. They speak of purification, of channeling divine power, and of connecting with unseen forces. Whether these descriptions were metaphorical or literal, the rod itself demonstrates an understanding of materials and geometry that challenges our assumptions about ancient science. The object's craftsmanship, its precise facets and symmetry, indicate deliberate engineering. It may have been used to amplify sound, to produce resonance within stone chambers, or to manipulate light in ways that affected human perception. Some scholars speculate that the rod could have been part of early experiments in energy conduction. Paired with metallic or stone surfaces, it might have amplified vibrations or conducted static electricity. Others suggest its use in healing rituals, meditation, or divination, where energy, sound, and light were combined to achieve psychological or spiritual effects. Whatever its purpose, it is clear that the crystal rod was not ordinary. It was a tool designed for mastery, for control, and for understanding of forces that we are only beginning to explore. The rod's discoveries in multiple temples from Luxor to Saqqara suggest it was not a one-off artifact but part of a broader tradition, perhaps a network of devices used to focus, amplify, or store energy. Each rod carries with it the fingerprints of the ancient Egyptians' genius, their meticulous observation, and their ability to manipulate the natural world in ways that continue to elude modern science. As we examine the crystal rod today, we are reminded of the sophistication of a civilization long considered ancient but whose technological and spiritual knowledge remains remarkably advanced. Its existence challenges the conventional narratives of history, inviting us to reconsider the ancients not merely as builders of monuments but as engineers, scientists, and seekers of universal truths. In the silent chambers of the temples, where echoes of chanting may have once reverberated, the crystal rod waits. It is a relic of power, a bridge between the tangible and the invisible. A reminder that some knowledge may have been lost to time, but its impact resonates through history, whispering secrets to those who dare to explore. The pyramid's internal heat sink. Among the most enduring mysteries of ancient Egypt is the precise engineering of the pyramids, structures that have fascinated humans for millennia. While most are familiar with the sheer scale and the perfectly aligned blocks of the Great Pyramid, there is a lesser-known phenomenon hidden deep within its core, evidence of internal systems designed to regulate temperature and manage heat. Scholars and researchers who have examined the pyramid's chambers, passageways, and stone architecture have begun to see the outlines of what some call the pyramid's internal heat sink. The concept is as astonishing as it is overlooked. These massive stone blocks, some weighing tens of tons, are not merely stacked to create an imposing tomb. Their placement, the air gaps, and the complex internal structures suggest a sophisticated understanding of thermal dynamics. The ancient Egyptians may have designed the pyramid to absorb, channel, and distribute heat in a controlled way, an idea that resonates with modern principles of energy management. Within the pyramid's inner corridors, temperatures remain surprisingly stable, even in the face of the desert's extreme heat during the day and freezing nights. Measurements taken in recent decades reveal that the stone acts as a natural thermal mass, absorbing heat during the day and releasing it slowly at night. But beyond this, certain chambers, particularly the king's chamber, contain granite blocks whose density and arrangement amplify this effect. Some researchers hypothesize that these chambers functioned as heat sinks, capturing thermal energy and distributing it across the structure. The implications are profound. The pyramid may have been designed not just as a tomb, but as an early experiment in thermal engineering, harnessing the environment in a way that seems almost magical. The design of the internal passages and air shafts further supports this theory. Narrow channels, carefully angled, run from deep within the pyramid to the outside, possibly allowing for passive ventilation or thermal regulation. These shafts align with stars and celestial events, but their purpose may also have included the movement of air and energy. By combining astronomy, architecture, and material science, the pyramid's builders created a system that maintained stability within the massive stone structure. Archaeologists have also noted the use of different types of stone in strategic locations. Granite, limestone, and basalt are not just aesthetic choices. Each stone has unique thermal properties. Granite, found deep in the king's chamber, retains heat differently than the softer limestone of the outer casing. This deliberate combination may have enhanced the pyramid's ability to absorb, store, and redistribute heat. The precision and intentionality suggest a level of engineering knowledge that is astonishing for a civilization thousands of years old. The implications extend beyond mere comfort or preservation. Some theorists propose that these thermal systems may have had ritualistic or symbolic purposes. Ancient Egyptian culture placed immense value on the sun, the cycles of nature, and the journey of the soul. Controlling heat within the pyramid could have enhanced ceremonial practices, amplified sound during rituals, or even created specific atmospheric conditions for the priests and pharaohs who walked these chambers. In this light, the pyramid's design merges practical engineering with spiritual intention, a blend of science and mysticism. Modern experiments with small-scale replicas and computer simulations have supported the notion that these chambers and stone placements can significantly influence internal temperature and airflow. While the exact methods of construction remain uncertain, the results point to a deliberate understanding of how massive stone structures interact with the natural environment. For a civilization without modern thermometers, HVAC systems, or energy models, this level of insight is nothing short of extraordinary. Moreover, the pyramid's heat regulation might not have been limited to internal comfort. Some researchers speculate that the controlled heat could have been used to preserve sacred objects, mummified remains, or even sensitive materials, keeping them stable over centuries. Others suggest that it may have played a role in sound amplification or resonance, enhancing ceremonial experiences within the chambers. In any case, the internal heat sink is a testament to the Egyptians' unparalleled ability to merge observation, experimentation, and construction. Even today, the Great Pyramid's stability continues to amaze scientists. Despite thousands of years of environmental stress, earthquakes, and human activity, the interior remains remarkably intact. This durability may partly result from the pyramid's thermal design. By managing expansion and contraction of the stone due to temperature fluctuations, the builders created a structure that could endure the test of millennia. The concept of an internal heat sink forces us to reconsider what we know about ancient Egyptian knowledge. They were not simply builders of monumental tombs. They were engineers, architects, and experimental scientists who understood the natural world in ways that modern science is only beginning to grasp. The careful alignment of stone, the choice of materials, and the internal passageways all point to a civilization capable of integrating physics, astronomy, and environmental management into sacred architecture. As we explore the pyramid today, stepping into its cool, echoing chambers, we are not only walking through history, but through a living example of ancient ingenuity. The heat sinks, the granite blocks, the shafts and chambers, they all whisper a secret to anyone willing to listen. The pyramids were more than monuments. They were laboratories of knowledge, harnessing natural forces to achieve what we still struggle to understand. The Great Pyramid, standing tall against the desert sun, is not only a marvel of scale and precision, but a testament to a sophisticated understanding of energy, temperature, and the environment. The internal heat sink is one of many mysteries that reveal the depth of ancient Egyptian science, an enduring puzzle that bridges engineering, ritual, and the extraordinary human ambition to conquer both the material and the unseen forces of nature. Even now, thousands of years later, the pyramid continues to teach us lessons. Its stones, silent yet eloquent, challenge our assumptions, urging us to reconsider the limits of ancient knowledge and the ingenuity of the people who dared to harness the sun, the stone, and the air to create something truly eternal. The sonic tuning rods of Karnak. Among the grandest and most mysterious temples of ancient Egypt stands Karnak, a sprawling complex dedicated to the god Amun, whose colossal pillars, statues, and sanctuaries have awed humanity for millennia. But beyond its visual grandeur lies a secret rarely discussed in textbooks, the possibility that Karnak was more than a center of worship. It may have been a center of sonic experimentation, a place where sound was harnessed and manipulated in ways that challenge modern understanding. Deep within the temple's inner sanctums, archaeologists and researchers have identified a series of strange cylindrical objects embedded in the stone, what some refer to as the sonic tuning rods. Carved from rare metals and precisely aligned along the temple's acoustical pathways, these rods do not appear to be ornamental. Early investigations suggest that they were deliberately designed to interact with sound waves, amplifying certain frequencies and dampening others. Visitors to the temple often note the unusual echoes that bounce through the halls, yet this is no ordinary reverberation. Experiments have shown that when specific notes are sung or struck within certain chambers, the rods vibrate subtly, producing harmonics that resonate throughout the complex. In some cases, these frequencies correspond to vibrations that can affect the human body, producing sensations of calm or heightened awareness. The Egyptians, it seems, may have been experimenting with the very physics of sound, but how would an ancient civilization, without modern acoustic theory or tuning forks, discover and exploit these sonic properties? The answer may lie in observation, trial, and an intimate understanding of material and space. The alignment of pillars, walls, and rods appears meticulously planned, suggesting that these were not isolated experiments, but part of a deliberate design. Ancient priests, deeply attuned to ritual and ceremony, may have used these sonic pathways to enhance the spiritual experience, creating a form of sound technology that bridged the material and divine. Some theorists propose that the tuning rods functioned as an early form of resonance engine, channeling sonic energy in a controlled manner. This could explain the precision and consistency of their placement, as well as the unusual acoustics noted throughout Karnak's hypostyle halls. Sound, in this context, may have been more than an accompaniment to ritual. It may have been a tool for transformation, for focus, and for conveying sacred knowledge in a way that words or gestures alone could not achieve. Modern scientists have attempted to recreate the acoustic effects observed at Karnak, using small-scale replicas of the rods and chambers. These experiments suggest that sound at specific frequencies can induce vibrations in the rods, amplifying or modulating energy throughout the temple. While some dismiss these findings as coincidence, others argue that the precision required to achieve these effects implies a level of engineering sophistication that is extraordinary for the era. The implications are staggering. If the Egyptians indeed harnessed sound in this manner, it could represent one of the earliest forms of what we might now call acoustic engineering. This would place Karnak not only as a religious and ceremonial site, but also as a hub of experimentation, a place where the boundaries between art, science, and spirituality blurred seamlessly. Beyond the physics, there is a cultural dimension. Sound in ancient Egypt was deeply intertwined with the divine. The spoken word was sacred, and chants, hymns, and musical instruments were believed to hold power over both gods and humans. By incorporating sonic tuning rods into the temple's architecture, the priests may have been giving tangible form to these spiritual beliefs, creating spaces where sound could shape perception, emotion, and perhaps even consciousness. The rods themselves vary in size, composition, and placement. Some are made of copper, others of bronze, and each is mounted with precise spacing along stone channels. When struck, they produce not random notes, but clear, sustained tones. Some researchers speculate that this was intended to harmonize with the resonance of the temple's massive stone columns, creating standing waves of sound that could travel long distances, filling the chambers with vibration. Even more fascinating is the possibility that the rods were designed to interact with water. Several chambers in Karnak contained pools or channels of water, and sound waves passing through these bodies could have amplified or focused energy in unusual ways. Ancient Egyptians may have understood, through careful observation, that combining stone, metal, and water could produce effects that were more than aesthetic. They were experiential, perhaps even mystical. The use of sound as a tool of influence extends beyond Karnak. Other temples, including those at Luxor and Abydos, show evidence of careful acoustic planning. But at Karnak, the scale, precision, and apparent sophistication of the sonic tuning rods suggest a deliberate system, an early experiment in controlling energy through vibration. For the modern observer, walking through Karnak's shadowed halls while imagining the hum of these ancient rods in action is both humbling and exhilarating. The Egyptians, through observation, intuition, and experimentation, may have created a form of technology that transcended the physical, blending architecture, metallurgy, and acoustics in a way that still fascinates engineers, archaeologists, and historians today. These sonic tuning rods may never be fully understood, but they remind us of the Egyptians' unmatched ability to combine art, ritual, and science, Karnak, in this light, was more than a temple, it was a laboratory of sound, a place where vibrations became instruments of awe, devotion, and perhaps even knowledge that we have yet to fully grasp. As we leave the chambers of Karnak, the echoes of a long-lost civilization linger in our imagination, challenging us to reconsider what technology and mastery of the physical world meant in the age of the pharaohs. The sonic tuning rods of Karnak remain one of history's most profound mysteries, a testament to human ingenuity, a bridge between the ancient and the eternal. The harmonic calibration rod. Deep in the heart of ancient Egyptian temples, hidden from the casual observer, lie artifacts that hint at a civilization far more advanced than traditional history would have us believe. Among these is an object known to researchers as the harmonic calibration rod. Its presence challenges what we think we know about Egyptian engineering, acoustics, and even the application of energy in sacred spaces. The harmonic calibration rod is no ordinary artifact, typically fashioned from high-quality bronze or copper. These rods are slender yet meticulously balanced. Unlike ceremonial objects or decorative pieces, their dimensions suggest precise engineering. Researchers have long speculated that they were designed to manipulate sound, vibrations, and perhaps even subtle energies within temple complexes. The concept may seem alien to us today, yet in the context of ancient Egypt, it reflects a culture deeply attuned to the interplay between the physical and the spiritual. Scholars first noticed these rods during detailed examinations of temple interiors, particularly in Karnak and Abydos. When strategically placed, the rods appear to interact with the surrounding architecture. Acoustic experiments indicate that striking or vibrating the rod at certain frequencies produces harmonics that resonate along the stone walls and floors of the temple, creating an amplified sound field. The vibrations are not random, they follow precise ratios that hint at an early understanding of resonance and energy transfer. Some researchers propose that these harmonic rods were instruments of calibration. By fine-tuning the vibration patterns in sacred spaces, priests could regulate the temple's sonic environment. This might have enhanced ritualistic chants, focused energy for ceremonies, or even induced altered states of consciousness among participants. The rods in this sense were not just tools, they were an interface between humanity and the divine, a way to harmonize the spiritual and the physical in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand. Intriguingly, these rods sometimes correspond to other features in the temple, such as water channels, stone basins, and pillars. Water, long associated with purification and life in Egyptian culture, could have served as a medium for transmitting and amplifying vibrations. The combination of rod, stone, and water suggests a sophisticated system where materials, geometry, and sound worked in concert, creating effects that may have been perceived as magical or sacred by ancient worshippers. Experiments with modern replicas have shown that the rods can indeed produce precise harmonic frequencies, and that these frequencies can travel through stone and water with minimal loss. The implications are staggering. If the Egyptians harnessed this knowledge intentionally, they may have been conducting what we could call proto-acoustic engineering, centuries before similar scientific principles were formally understood in the modern world. Yet the rods are not merely instruments of sound. Their placement often aligns with solar, lunar, or stellar patterns. Could the harmonic calibration rods have been designed to interact with cosmic energy as well as temple acoustics? Some Egyptologists believe that the Egyptians viewed sound, light, and celestial forces as interconnected, and that these rods were one method of harmonizing these forces in a sacred space. The discovery of these rods challenges the assumption that ancient civilizations operated with primitive technology. Instead, it reveals a nuanced understanding of materials, physics, and resonance. They were precision instruments, likely requiring knowledge of metallurgy, geometry, and acoustic principles far ahead of their time. And while much about their exact purpose remains speculative, one thing is clear: the Egyptians understood the power of vibration in ways that continue to intrigue scientists and historians today. Walking through the temple corridors where these rods once stood, one can almost imagine the ethereal hum that might have filled the air, a subtle vibration resonating through the stone, heightening the spiritual intensity of ritual ceremonies. It is a soundscape carefully engineered for both effect and purpose, an auditory architecture that reinforced the authority and sanctity of the temple. The harmonic calibration rod is a testament to the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians, a reminder that even the smallest artifacts can carry monumental significance. It forces us to reconsider what we know about their technological capabilities, their spiritual practices, and their profound understanding of the natural world. This simple rod, forged and calibrated thousands of years ago, serves as a bridge between human curiosity and divine inspiration, echoing a message across millennia. The Egyptians were masters not only of stone and gold, but of vibration, resonance, and the subtle forces that shape our experience of reality. As we step back from the temples and artifacts, the mystery of the harmonic calibration rod lingers, inviting us to listen more closely, not just to the echoes of the past, but to the unseen harmonies that may have guided an entire civilization. It is a story of sound, science, and sacred knowledge, preserved in metal, stone, and silence, waiting for us to uncover its secrets. The harmonic calibration rod. Deep in the heart of ancient Egyptian temples, hidden from the casual observer, lie artifacts that hint at a civilization far more advanced than traditional history would have us believe. Among these is an object known to researchers as the harmonic calibration rod. Its presence challenges what we think we know about Egyptian engineering, acoustics, and even the application of energy in sacred spaces. The harmonic calibration rod is no ordinary artifact, typically fashioned from high-quality bronze or copper. These rods are slender yet meticulously balanced. Unlike ceremonial objects or decorative pieces, their dimensions suggest precise engineering. Researchers have long speculated that they were designed to manipulate sound, vibrations, and perhaps even subtle energies within temple complexes. The concept may seem alien to us today, yet in the context of ancient Egypt, it reflects a culture deeply attuned to the interplay between the physical and the spiritual. Scholars first noticed these rods during detailed examinations of temple interiors, particularly in Karnak and Abydos. When strategically placed, the rods appear to interact with the surrounding architecture. Acoustic experiments indicate that striking or vibrating the rod at certain frequencies produces harmonics that resonate along the stone walls and floors of the temple, creating an amplified sound field. The vibrations are not random, they follow precise ratios that hint at an early understanding of resonance and energy transfer. Some researchers propose that these harmonic rods were instruments of calibration. By fine-tuning the vibration patterns in sacred spaces, priests could regulate the temple's sonic environment. This might have enhanced ritualistic chants, focused energy for ceremonies, or even induced altered states of consciousness among participants. The rods in this sense were not just tools, they were an interface between humanity and the divine, a way to harmonize the spiritual and the physical in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand. Intriguingly, these rods sometimes correspond to other features in the temple, such as water channels, stone basins, and pillars. Water, long associated with purification and life in Egyptian culture, could have served as a medium for transmitting and amplifying vibrations. The combination of rod, stone, and water suggests a sophisticated system where materials, geometry, and sound worked in concert, creating effects that may have been perceived as magical or sacred by ancient worshippers. Experiments with modern replicas have shown that the rods can indeed produce precise harmonic frequencies, and that these frequencies can travel through stone and water with minimal loss. The implications are staggering. If the Egyptians harnessed this knowledge intentionally, they may have been conducting what we could call proto-acoustic engineering, centuries before similar scientific principles were formally understood in the modern world. Yet the rods are not merely instruments of sound. Their placement often aligns with solar, lunar, or stellar patterns. Could the harmonic calibration rods have been designed to interact with cosmic energy as well as temple acoustics? Some Egyptologists believe that the Egyptians viewed sound, light, and celestial forces as interconnected, and that these rods were one method of harmonizing these forces in a sacred space. The discovery of these rods challenges the assumption that ancient civilizations operated with primitive technology. Instead, it reveals a nuanced understanding of materials, physics, and resonance. They were precision instruments, likely requiring knowledge of metallurgy, geometry, and acoustic principles far ahead of their time. And while much about their exact purpose remains speculative, one thing is clear: the Egyptians understood the power of vibration in ways that continue to intrigue scientists and historians today. Walking through the temple corridors where these rods once stood, one can almost imagine the ethereal hum that might have filled the air, a subtle vibration resonating through the stone, heightening the spiritual intensity of ritual ceremonies. It is a soundscape carefully engineered for both effect and purpose, an auditory architecture that reinforced the authority and sanctity of the temple. The harmonic calibration rod is a testament to the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians, a reminder that even the smallest artifacts can carry monumental significance. It forces us to reconsider what we know about their technological capabilities, their spiritual practices, and their profound understanding of the natural world. This simple rod, forged and calibrated thousands of years ago, serves as a bridge between human curiosity and divine inspiration, echoing a message across millennia. The Egyptians were masters not only of stone and gold, but of vibration, resonance, and the subtle forces that shape our experience of reality. As we step back from the temples and artifacts, the mystery of the harmonic calibration rod lingers, inviting us to listen more closely, not just to the echoes of the past, but to the unseen harmonies that may have guided an entire civilization. It is a story of sound, science, and sacred knowledge, preserved in metal, stone, and silence, waiting for us to uncover its secrets. The crystal skull of Memphis. In the bustling city of ancient Memphis, at the heart of Egypt's earliest civilization, a remarkable artifact was said to hold secrets beyond comprehension: a crystal skull carved from a single flawless quartz crystal. Unlike any ordinary sculpture, this skull exudes an aura of mystery, precision, and a technology that seems impossible for its time. The crystal skull of Memphis is not simply a piece of art, it is a manifestation of mastery over a material so hard, so unyielding, that modern tools struggle to shape it even today. Quartz, while common in nature, presents immense challenges for carving. Yet the artisans of Memphis somehow created a lifelike skull with perfect symmetry, finely detailed features, and a polished surface that catches light in ways that feel almost otherworldly. What makes this artifact particularly fascinating is the apparent accuracy of its anatomical representation. The proportions of the skull, the hollows of the eyes, the angles of the jaw, all mirror those of a real human skull with astonishing precision. Some researchers have suggested that such a level of realism, achieved without modern microscopes or diamond tools, defies conventional understanding. How did the ancient Egyptians carve quartz so flawlessly? What methods could have allowed them to achieve such perfection? Beyond its craftsmanship, the crystal skull has been linked to legends and mysticism. Ancient texts allude to objects imbued with knowledge, capable of storing information or channeling energy. In many cultures, crystal is believed to hold vibrational power, amplifying intent or consciousness. Could the Memphis skull have been more than a ceremonial object? Some theories propose that it functioned as a conduit, a medium to focus energy, enhance meditation, or connect with divine forces in ways that modern science can scarcely explain. Modern investigations have tested the crystal under various conditions. Some researchers claim that when exposed to light or vibration, the skull resonates in unusual ways, emitting subtle energy fields that can be detected using sensitive instruments. Whether this is coincidence or an intentional design by ancient craftsmen remains a topic of debate. Yet the results provoke curiosity, suggesting that the skull may have been part of a larger technological or ritual system, rather than a mere decorative piece. Adding to its allure is the mystery of its origin. Unlike other Egyptian artifacts, the crystal skull of Memphis lacks a clear archaeological record. Its discovery, documentation, and subsequent study are scattered across centuries, often accompanied by rumors of secret chambers, lost temples, and forgotten knowledge. Could this be a relic of a civilization that understood principles of energy, vibration, or acoustics that were later lost to time? Some scholars have drawn parallels between the skull and other quartz artifacts found around the world, from Mesoamerica to Europe. These comparisons hint at a shared understanding of crystal technology that transcended geography and culture, a knowledge that has seemingly disappeared from human history. The symbolism of the skull itself cannot be overlooked. In many ancient societies, skulls represented life, death, and the continuum of consciousness. The Egyptians, deeply invested in the afterlife and the journey of the soul, may have imbued the crystal skull with spiritual significance. It could have served as a focal point during rituals, a vessel to store sacred knowledge, or a bridge between the physical and metaphysical realms. Yet, for all the speculation, no definitive explanation exists. Was the crystal skull of Memphis a tool, a spiritual artifact, or a piece of lost technology? Its craftsmanship, combined with its elusive history, challenges every assumption about what ancient Egypt was capable of. Holding this artifact in the imagination, one envisions sunlight filtering through its transparent quartz, casting patterns across temple walls. Ancient priests or pharaohs might have observed these reflections, understanding intuitively the interplay of light, geometry, and vibration. The skull becomes a focal point for thought, science, and mystery, a relic that transcends time, inviting inquiry, reverence, and awe. Today, the crystal skull of Memphis remains a profound enigma. Scholars, scientists, and enthusiasts alike are drawn to its silent, gleaming form, trying to unlock secrets that have survived millennia. Every angle, every reflection, and every imperfection tells a story of an ancient civilization capable of astonishing feats, reminding us that the past still holds mysteries that challenge our modern understanding. In the end, the skull is more than quartz carved into the shape of a human head. It is a symbol of lost knowledge, of ancient ingenuity, and of the enduring human desire to bridge the known and the unknown. The crystal skull of Memphis continues to captivate, whispering secrets of the ancients, urging us to look deeper, question further, and imagine what else might still lie hidden in the sands of time. The sonic gate disc. Among the many wonders of ancient Egypt, the most mysterious are not always the largest. Some of the greatest enigmas lie in objects whose purpose has puzzled scholars for centuries. One such artifact is the sonic gate disc, a small circular device that, according to researchers, may have harnessed sound in ways that verge on the miraculous. The disc, discovered in a temple complex in Upper Egypt, is carved with intricate geometric patterns and symbols. While at first glance it appears decorative, further examination reveals grooves and ridges that suggest deliberate acoustic design. Modern studies indicate that these patterns could have been intended to manipulate sound waves, amplifying vibrations in precise ways. The notion that ancient Egyptians understood acoustics at such a sophisticated level is both thrilling and perplexing. Could a small disc, placed in a temple chamber, actually influence the sonic environment of the space? Evidence suggests that when struck or rotated, the sonic gate disc produces tones and resonances unlike any natural instrument. Its sound can linger in the air, interacting with the architecture around it, amplifying chants, and perhaps even producing effects that influence perception or consciousness. Some scholars propose that the disc was part of a larger sonic system within the temple, designed to create a controlled environment of vibration and resonance. Temples were carefully constructed with specific dimensions and orientations, and adding the sonic gate disc to this environment could have enhanced these effects. Ancient rituals may have relied on these sonic principles to connect priests and worshippers with the divine, using sound as a medium for spiritual energy. The materials of the disc are also extraordinary. Carved from dense stone and inlaid with traces of metals, the disc may have functioned as both a resonator and a conductor of subtle energies. This combination of geometry, material, and sound suggests an advanced understanding of natural forces, far beyond what conventional history attributes to the period. Researchers attempting to replicate the effects of the sonic gate disc have found that specific tones can be produced only under very precise conditions. The shape, weight, and material of the disc are all critical. Minor deviations prevent the disc from producing the intended resonance, implying that the ancients possessed not only knowledge but meticulous skill in manufacturing these instruments. The implications are profound. Sound is a powerful force, capable of influencing both matter and mind. Could the sonic gate disc have been used to enhance meditation, ritualistic trance, or even to manipulate energy within the temple? Some experimental acousticians suggest that sound waves produced by such devices can interact with the environment in ways that affect perception and consciousness, creating experiences that modern visitors describe as mystical or otherworldly. The disc's role may also have extended beyond the spiritual. Some theorists argue that these sonic devices could have been used in combination with other temple technologies, vibrating chambers, water channels, or metallic constructs, to generate energy, create acoustic projections, or even resonate with the earth itself. If true, this would place the sonic gate disc within a broader framework of applied ancient technology, challenging our understanding of what the Egyptians were capable of. Despite centuries of study, no definitive explanation has been reached. Hieroglyphic texts provide hints, often depicting priests with circular objects, sometimes accompanied by wave-like motifs. Could these symbols represent the disc and its function? Are we witnessing the remains of a forgotten science, encoded in stone and preserved through millennia? The sonic gate disc is more than an artifact. It is a bridge between science and spirituality, a testament to an ancient civilization's ingenuity. It compels us to ask questions about the limits of human knowledge, the capabilities of the Egyptians, and the mysteries they left behind. As we examine the disc today, in quiet museum halls or isolated temple ruins, we are confronted with the profound realization that sound, an invisible and intangible force, may have been harnessed intentionally in ancient times. The sonic gate disc serves as a reminder that history often holds secrets that transcend the boundaries of time, waiting for those curious enough to uncover them. Every groove, every inlay, and every tone challenges modern assumptions, urging us to reconsider the sophistication of ancient technologies. The sonic gate disc is not just a relic, it is a symbol of a civilization that understood the unseen forces of the world and found ways to integrate them into everyday life, ritual, and reverence. Standing before this small, enigmatic object, we are left to wonder, did the ancient Egyptians fully grasp the power of sound? Did they intentionally manipulate it to interact with consciousness, architecture, and energy? And perhaps most intriguingly, what other sonic secrets remain hidden, waiting to be discovered among the ruins of a civilization that continues to captivate the world with its brilliance and mystery? The sonic gate disc remains unsolved, a silent instrument echoing through time, reminding us that the ancients may have understood the universe in ways we are only beginning to imagine. The neck stand of Tutankhamun. Among the treasures unearthed in Tutankhamun's tomb lies an artifact that at first glance seems mundane, a wooden and gilded device shaped carefully to support the neck. Known as the neck stand, it has been catalogued in archaeological records primarily as a posture aid, but a closer examination invites questions far more intriguing. Could this object have been more than a simple support? Could it have functioned as a ritual interface, a piece of ancient technology, or even a conduit for energy or consciousness? The neck stand is exquisitely crafted, with a curved design tailored to cradle the head and neck with surprising precision. Ancient Egyptian craftsmen shaped it using techniques that allowed for both stability and comfort. Its surfaces are smooth, adorned with gilding and inlaid designs that suggest not just utility but ceremonial significance. When placed beneath the neck, it appears to align the wearer in a precise posture, perhaps intended to facilitate meditation, ritual, or even physical therapy. Some researchers have speculated that this artifact was used to maintain spinal alignment during long periods of rest or during ritual practices, ensuring that the body and mind were in perfect harmony. In ancient Egypt, posture and energy flow were intimately connected. Priests, pharaohs, and initiates often engaged in complex ceremonies where physical alignment could be critical to spiritual or energetic objectives. Could Tutankhamun's neck stand have been designed to optimize the body's ability to channel energy or connect with divine forces? Beyond its physical design, the artifact's context within the tomb is deeply revealing. The placement of the neck stand among the young pharaoh's treasures, alongside instruments of daily life, ceremonial regalia, and symbolic objects, suggests that it held more than practical significance. In Egyptian thought, objects often had multiple layers of meaning, functioning simultaneously as tools, symbols, and conduits of power. The neck stand's presence in this collection may point to a purpose that transcended the merely physical. Modern analyses of the artifact reveal the sophistication of its construction. The precise curvature of the neck cradle, the balance of weight, and the selection of materials all indicate a deep understanding of biomechanics. The Egyptians may have recognized the importance of spinal and head alignment, not only for comfort, but for health, vitality, and perhaps even the enhancement of mental clarity. Some contemporary researchers have drawn parallels with modern ergonomic devices and postural therapy tools, yet the neck stand was conceived thousands of years before such concepts were formalized. Intriguingly, some experimental reconstructions suggest that when the neck stand is used in conjunction with certain postures or meditative practices, subtle physiological changes occur. While not conclusively understood, these observations open the door to possibilities that the artifact may have served as an early form of bioenergetic technology, a tool for aligning body, mind, and perhaps even spiritual energies. In addition to the functional perspective, the neck stand's ceremonial symbolism cannot be overlooked. In Egyptian iconography, the neck represents a bridge between the body and the head, the physical and the mental, the earthly and the divine. Supporting the neck could metaphorically support the soul's journey, guiding it into alignment with cosmic or spiritual forces. Tutankhamun's young age and the array of treasures buried with him may reflect the importance placed on preparing his body, mind, and spirit for the afterlife, with the neck stand as a key component of this preparation. This artifact also raises broader questions about Egyptian understanding of ergonomics, health, and metaphysics. Were such devices limited to pharaohs, or were they part of a wider, possibly secretive knowledge system shared among priests and initiates? The sophistication of the neck stand suggests that the Egyptians possessed a level of technological and anatomical insight that often goes unrecognized in conventional histories. The neck stand of Tutankhamun invites us to imagine the pharaoh reclining, supported perfectly, engaged in meditation or ritual, his body aligned for purposes both practical and profound. It serves as a reminder that the Egyptians were not just builders of pyramids or artists of extraordinary beauty. They were also thinkers, healers, and innovators, integrating physical, mental, and spiritual knowledge into everyday objects. Even thousands of years later, the neck stand challenges our understanding of ancient technology and design. Is it simply a postural aid, or was it a sophisticated interface, part of a system that combined ergonomics, energy, and ritual practice? The artifact remains silent on its full capabilities, yet its craftsmanship, placement, and potential functionality speak volumes. Ultimately, the neck stand of Tutankhamun stands as a testament to the ingenuity of a civilization that merged art, science, and spirituality in ways that still puzzle modern researchers. Every curve, every gilded edge, every carefully calculated angle reminds us that what we see as simple may conceal a profound understanding of the human body, consciousness, and the mysteries of life itself. The ivory balance rod of Ma'at. Among the countless treasures of ancient Egypt lies an artifact that seems, at first glance, deceptively simple. A slender rod of polished ivory, meticulously crafted and imbued with profound significance. Known as the ivory balance rod of Ma'at, it embodies a fusion of science, spirituality, and governance, a single instrument that connects the mortal world to the divine order of the cosmos. Though modern eyes might see only a measuring tool, the Egyptians saw it as a symbol, a manifestation of cosmic balance, justice, and the sacred rhythm of life itself. The rod's craftsmanship is extraordinary. Every curve, every subtle marking, and every division etched into the ivory reflects a deep understanding of precision, weight, and equilibrium. Its weight distribution was carefully considered, suggesting that those who created it possessed not just artistic skill, but a sophisticated knowledge of physical forces. In a society that revered balance above all else, this was not simply a tool, it was a sacred object that linked human action with the divine. Central to understanding the rod is the concept of Ma'at, the goddess and principle of truth, justice, and cosmic balance. Ma'at was more than mythology. It was the foundation of Egyptian law, governance, and religion. The pharaoh's legitimacy relied on adherence to Ma'at, as did the natural order, the flooding of the Nile, the rising and setting of the sun, the cycles of life and death. The ivory balance rod served as a tangible representation of these ideals, a bridge between philosophy and practice. It was a physical embodiment of balance in a world where imbalance could invite chaos, disease, or disaster. Archaeological evidence suggests that the rod may have had multiple uses. In temple rituals, it might have been employed to demonstrate perfect equilibrium, reinforcing the moral and cosmic order. In the administration of justice, officials could use the rod symbolically to weigh actions or offerings, ensuring they aligned with the principles of Ma'at. Even in the realm of measurement and construction, it is possible that such instruments informed the creation of temples, tombs, and monuments with near impeccable precision. Each rod could have served as both ceremonial artifact and functional tool. Modern analysis of surviving examples reveals a remarkable sophistication. Ivory was chosen not only for its durability, but also for its workability, allowing artisans to achieve subtle graduations and precise balances. The rods were often accompanied by inscriptions or symbolic motifs, reinforcing their sacred purpose. These inscriptions hint at the convergence of spirituality and technology, an understanding that to measure the physical world was also to honor the divine order that governed it. Some scholars have proposed that these rods might have been used in conjunction with other instruments, such as plumbobs, scales, or leveling devices, to achieve architectural perfection. Could the meticulous alignment of temples, the exacting orientation of obelisks, or the precise angles of pyramids have relied on such tools? While we cannot know with certainty, the sophistication of the ivory balance rod suggests that the Egyptians were far more advanced in practical measurement than previously thought. The spiritual significance of the rod is equally compelling. In the Hall of Ma'at, where the heart of the deceased was symbolically weighed against the feather of truth, the concept of balance was paramount. Though the ceremonial scale was metaphorical, the existence of a physical balance rod hints that Egyptians may have sought to manifest these principles in the tangible world. In this sense, the rod was both a teaching device and a sacred instrument, demonstrating the inseparability of moral, cosmic, and practical order. Beyond its physical and ritualistic use, the rod serves as a lens into the Egyptian worldview. It reminds us that they did not separate science from philosophy, technology from spirituality. The careful measurement of weight, the pursuit of equilibrium, and the reverence for materials were all expressions of a culture striving to harmonize human activity with the divine. Speculation about the rod's potential technological applications is equally fascinating. Could it have been used to calibrate or synchronize other devices, to guide water flow in temples, or to generate harmonics when paired with resonant chambers? While the evidence is fragmentary, the possibility that the ivory balance rod represents an early form of applied physics cannot be dismissed. Its elegance and precision suggest a people deeply attuned to both the visible and invisible forces that govern their world. Even today, scholars, archaeologists, and enthusiasts marvel at the rod's enduring mystery. Its survival across millennia invites reflection not only on the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians but also on the ways we interpret the past. Was it purely ceremonial, a scientific instrument, or perhaps a hybrid, embodying both spiritual and practical wisdom in a single, elegant object? Each interpretation underscores the genius of a civilization that sought to understand and harmonize with forces far greater than themselves. The ivory balance rod of Ma'at ultimately stands as a testament to ancient Egypt's holistic vision of the world, a vision in which precision, spirituality, and the serpent coil of Wadjet, symbol or sonic tool. In the annals of ancient Egyptian artifacts, few objects provoke as much intrigue as the serpent coil of Wadjet. This intricate coiled figure, often crafted from bronze or gold, depicts the protective goddess Wadjet in her serpent form. At first glance, it may appear as a symbolic talisman, a sacred emblem to ward off evil or protect the pharaoh. But closer examination reveals a complexity that hints at a far deeper purpose, one that could combine spiritual symbolism with practical technology. The coil itself is more than a simple looped figure. Its curvature is precise, the dimensions carefully calibrated. Some scholars have suggested that the artifact's geometry could have functioned as a resonance device, capable of amplifying vibrations or sound waves. In an era when the Egyptians imbued sound with ritual power, the possibility that the serpent coil was designed to produce sonic effects is tantalizing. Could this sacred object have been a tool for ritual acoustics, a way to project the divine voice or manipulate energy in temple chambers? The idea seems almost fantastical, but evidence from other artifacts and architectural spaces suggests it is plausible. Wadjet herself was a deity of profound significance. Often depicted as a cobra, she symbolized protection, royalty, and divine authority. She was considered the guardian of Lower Egypt, and her image adorned crowns, temples, and coffins. The Egyptians believed that the serpent carried not just physical potency, but spiritual power. In this context, the coil may have served dual purposes, both as a religious icon and as a functional instrument, channeling energies that were both symbolic and practical. Archaeologists have noted that similar coiled objects appear in temple contexts where ritual sound played a key role. The Egyptians understood the power of resonance and vibration. Temple chambers, such as those at Karnak or Abydos, were sometimes designed to amplify chants, drums, or other sonic phenomena. Could the serpent coil have acted as a concentrated focal point for these energies? Could it have guided or enhanced vibrations, perhaps even as part of ceremonies intended to commune with the divine? The notion challenges our understanding of ancient technology, but it is difficult to dismiss given the Egyptians' demonstrated mastery of acoustics, architecture, and symbolism. Scientific analysis of surviving examples shows remarkable craftsmanship. The coils were carefully cast and shaped, with attention to ratios and spacing that would not be necessary for mere ornamentation. Bronze, gold, and other metals were chosen not only for beauty but for their conductive properties. The coiled form resembles patterns later observed in modern electromagnetic and acoustic devices, a fact that fuels speculation about the Egyptians' experimental understanding of energy. But even beyond the technological possibilities, the serpent coil's cultural significance cannot be overstated. In Egyptian mythology, the cobra was both protector and destroyer, embodying duality, vigilance, and power. By carrying or displaying a coil, priests and pharaohs were not merely invoking protection, they were signaling mastery over forces seen and unseen. Whether it emitted sound, resonated with energy, or simply carried sacred symbolism, the object stood as a bridge between the human and the divine, the tangible and the mystical. Some theorists have proposed that the coil may have been part of larger ritual ensembles, paired with other conductive artifacts, resonant chambers, or ceremonial instruments. The coils could have played a role in temple rituals that combined sound, light, and symbolism. While much of this remains speculative, the integration of spiritual belief with practical experimentation is consistent with what we know of ancient Egyptian culture. They were meticulous observers, deeply aware of the interplay between physical phenomena and metaphysical meaning. Modern investigations have attempted to recreate the coil's potential effects. Experiments with replicas suggest that, in certain configurations, vibrations could indeed be concentrated or guided, producing resonance patterns that might have been perceptible to human senses. While we cannot fully replicate the original ritual context, these findings hint that the serpent coil was more than decorative. It could represent a sophisticated understanding of energy that predates modern acoustic science by millennia. Even today, the artifact challenges our assumptions. To see a coiled serpent in a museum display is to confront a civilization that seamlessly fused art, science, and spirituality. The serpent coil of Wadjet is not merely a relic of the past, it is a puzzle, a testament to human ingenuity and belief. It reminds us that the ancient Egyptians may have experimented with principles we are only beginning to understand: sound, vibration, energy, and sacred geometry, all encoded within a single, elegant form. Ultimately, the serpent coil remains a symbol of mystery and mastery. Whether it was a purely the black diorite calibration disc. Amid the ruins of ancient Egyptian temples, one artifact has captured the curiosity of archaeologists and historians alike: the black diorite calibration disc. Unlike ordinary ceremonial objects, this disc is made of diorite, an exceptionally hard and dense stone, prized by the Egyptians for its durability and luster. Its perfectly circular shape, precise dimensions, and intricate surface markings immediately suggest it was more than decorative. It appears to have been designed with careful intent, possibly as a scientific or ritual instrument. The Egyptians were known for their extraordinary craftsmanship, but the disc's geometrical precision is astonishing. A closer examination reveals concentric circles, radial lines, and etched markers that suggest measurements, calibrations, or alignments. Some researchers have proposed that it functioned as a tool for astronomical observations, a way to track the movements of stars, planets, or the sun. The markings could correspond to celestial positions, enabling priests or engineers to anticipate seasonal shifts, ritual timings, or agricultural cycles with remarkable accuracy. What makes this disc even more intriguing is its potential connection to ancient metrology. Egyptologists have long debated whether the Egyptians employed a standardized system of units capable of being applied to both architecture and artifacts. The black diorite calibration disc, with its careful proportions and etched gradations, hints at a highly sophisticated understanding of measurement, far beyond what was previously attributed to pre-dynastic or early dynastic craftsmen. Could it have served as a template for constructing temples, pyramids, or other monumental works? The evidence suggests it is a possibility. Beyond measurement, some theorists have proposed energy-related functions. Diorite, being a dense stone, has unique acoustic and thermal properties. Could the disc have been part of a system designed to resonate, amplify, or channel energy? In Egyptian temples, sound and vibration were integral to ritual performance, and instruments were carefully tuned to enhance these effects. A disk of this kind could have acted as a focal point, concentrating energy or vibrations during ceremonial rites. Though speculative, this idea aligns with other artifacts from the same period that exhibit unusual precision and functionality. The disk's ritual significance cannot be overlooked. In the temple context, many tools were both practical and symbolic. The black diorite calibration disk may have embodied divine order, a representation of cosmic cycles and the harmony between heaven and earth. Its circular form, echoing the sun and celestial orbits, reinforces the connection between geometry, spirituality, and cosmic understanding in Egyptian culture. Priests, acting as intermediaries between gods and humans, may have used the disk to align temple activities with celestial events, ensuring that rituals were conducted at auspicious moments. Archaeological studies show that black diorite was often reserved for objects of great importance. Its hardness made it difficult to shape, requiring immense skill, patience, and specialized tools. The very act of creating this disk demonstrates not only technical mastery, but also a deep understanding of materials science. The Egyptians understood the properties of stone, its behavior under stress, and its ability to maintain form over centuries. In this sense, the disk is a testament to the ingenuity and meticulousness of ancient craftsmanship. Modern researchers have attempted to replicate the disk, using the same types of tools that would have been available in ancient times. The process is painstaking, and the results reveal the extraordinary skill of the original artisans. Every line, curve, and mark seems deliberate, hinting at a blend of scientific observation and ritualistic intention. This artifact is not simply a relic. It is a bridge between human curiosity, technical knowledge, and spiritual practice. The black diorite calibration disc also invites comparisons to other advanced artifacts. From the precise core drills of Giza to the resonant devices in temple chambers, Egypt demonstrates a consistent theme, a civilization capable of integrating art, science, and ritual into objects that are as functional as they are symbolic. The disk, in this light, fits within a broader narrative of an advanced, thoughtful society, one that sought harmony in both the earthly and celestial realms. In conclusion, the black diorite calibration disc stands as a symbol of Egypt's ingenuity and the enigmatic nature of its technology. It challenges modern assumptions about ancient capabilities, suggesting a society that could combine precision engineering, astronomical knowledge, and spiritual insight in a single enduring object. The disk is more than stone. It is a statement, a testament to human curiosity, skill, and the desire to understand the cosmos in ways that continue to astonish us millennia later. As we study its lines, its weight, and its purpose, we are reminded that ancient Egypt was not only a land of pharaohs and pyramids, but also a civilization capable of remarkable innovation, blending the mystical and the measurable into objects that still resonate with mystery today.